Hello, everybody. Tonight, you get 2 Phonogenics in 1 week, 2 for 1, baby. But tonight, we are here with the Stevie Nicks family. We meet once a month. We talk about Stevie Nicks. And by gosh, I think people like us because these videos get a lot of views, the Stevie Nicks ones. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoy this content, please consider donating a couple dollars to my Patreon, because then I'm held accountable and I got to keep doing these because, I can't let down my subscribers. So also subscribe to the YouTube channel because these are going to keep coming out. I was just bullied into doing all the Fleetwood Mac albums next. So I guess it's official. I just signed the contract with Live Nation. But tonight, we are following up last month's discussion, which was a really spirited, emotional discussion of Trouble in Shangri-La. And actually, that's the most viewed of all the Stevie Nicks podcasts. Oh, really? Yeah, just hitting the 700s. So,
wow. That's cool.
So I'm not going to become a millionaire, but for a little grassroots podcast that just started out, pretty damn cool.
Is that your most views, Jeremy, out of all of your shows, like regardless of Stevie Nicks?
No, the Madonna first one got 31,000.
Oh.
And then the debut. And then the Prince one was Sign of the Times. Jill Jones was on that one, so that one
should have been on that one. I love that one.
Yeah, it's a good album. But tonight, we're moving on to 2011. Do I have this correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I was working at Busch Gardens at the time, and I remember walking out to my car after my shift. And I had this friend that was a Stevie Nicks fan. She's in the community. Her name's Caitlin Casey. And she used to message me Stevie Nicks stuff. And she's like, oh my God, Stevie Nicks posted a sound clip on Twitter or somewhere that she's working on a new song with Dave Stewart. I'm like, hell no. Like, really? Because Stevie Nicks she'd been doing the same tour for like the second half of the 2000s. It was the same set list with maybe 1 or 2 songs changed. She did a live album. She did a greatest hits. She said many times that she was never making another album. I believe I even saw an interview where she gave Bill Clinton a copy of Trouble in Shangri-La and said that she was giving him her final album. So the fact that Stevie Nicks was potentially working on some new music, I was like, holy shit. So I rushed home. I listened to it, and it was a little short clip of Everybody Loves You, and I thought it was awful. I'm like, oh no. Because I'm not a huge fan of Dave Stewart producing. I love the early Eurythmics albums, but then like the later Eurythmics albums, like We Two Are One and Peace, I'm just like, not my favorite.
I like Love Is a Stranger.
Yeah, but that's like from the early.
Yeah,
Dave Stewart also produced Nina Hagen's Revolution Ballroom album.
He also produced the musical score from the classic film Showgirls, the 1995.
Oh, he did?
Yes, he did, and the piece is called Goddess, and it's the instrumental to the film Showgirls, if you've seen it.
Okay. He also would produce Shakespeare's Sister, who I love. I discovered them actually later, and Siobhan Fahey or Fahy, however you say her name, came out with an album called 3, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. It wasn't a hit. I don't even think it came out until many years later. But Dave Stewart produced that, so he really can be awesome sometimes. And tonight, we will decide if he was awesome or not on Stevie Nicks' album, In Your Dreams. So before we start talking about the album, I'm going to zip around this panel and have everyone talk about themselves and talk about when you found out that Stevie Nicks was once again releasing new music. Let's start with Jim.
Okay. Well, I'm Jim Miller from Tennessee. And on this album, I was in Tennessee when I picked it up. And I remember, like the clips come from Dave Stewart on Twitter. And I was getting really excited. It's kind of like, well, at least it's something. At least it's something. Stevie's working with Dave, and I like the older rhythmic stuff. So, and they're very creative and edgy. And I thought, well, okay, and
didn't she record it in Nashville, Jim?
What?
Or was that Memphis? Did she record part of it in? Oh no, that was the 24 karat gold.
The next album.
That was in Nashville. Nashville, like Hired Hands, Yeah, I remember like the sizzle reels and more clips and like videos. And then I was heavy on the ledge, and I was, the ledge was happening on the Stevie board, and I was part of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to promote Stevie, just trying to get the word out, because it's hard to get the word out, and everything's so kind of fractured. And I remember one thing I did was right before it came out, I didn't want it to be kind of released online and I just get pieces and stuff. I just quit the internet, or I think I had a thread on the ledge where I did a countdown. I said, I'm not gonna look at this stuff, and I'm gonna
Cool.
And then when it came out, I bought it, or I think I might have got it online or on a digital, and played it, and I really liked it. I mean, it was really good. But this album, it just has so much staying power, and I'm drawn back to it all the time. Just
Hell yeah,
because there's a lot of epic stuff on it.
All right.
And let's see.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jim.
Yes. Okay. Like I say, this is one of her better records, or maybe even the best record. And at the age of 63 when she did this, it's amazing. The vocals on this, there's a lot of maturity and there's a lot of power too. There's a lot of but it's just really good vocals on this album. And like, she's all the way back lyrically, musically, vocally. It was really a good album.
All right.
Can I go next, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan, and I'm from Portland, Oregon. And I agree with everything Jim said. It may be her best album, and it's certainly one of the ones that's most consistent all the way through. People on the ledge recently are talking about, well, she's never had a producer on more than, for one full album, which I take the point, and it's a fun one to make. But I think this may be the exception, because didn't Dave Stewart, Mr. David A. Stewart, produce this all the way through?
Mm-hmm. More or less.
Yeah. I love this album, and there are 3 songs that I have to talk about on it, please, if you all will let me. And the first song is In Your Dreams. I want to talk about the title track. I'd like to speak about Annabel Lee, please. And then I'd like to speak about Italian Summer. Or is it Italian salad or Italian salad dressing? You can tell I'm about to ruffle some feathers when we get to Italian Summer, but those are the 3 songs I want to talk about.
All right.
It's a great album, maybe your best. I agree with Jim.
So, Steven, what you got to say for yourself?
I think Jim said it all. It's
all right.
Still a relevant album, and I still play it. I love it. This is my California. I lived in California right next to Stevie when she recorded this, so I could feel the magic radiating from her house.
Oh,
from the high window.
What's that?
From the high window.
Yeah.
Are you thinking the condo?
No, there's one of the recording studios. Y'all know it. It's like, raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. The High Window is one of those studios where they did some early tracking or something for this album. That was a part of it, from the High Window, which is what's Glenn Ballard. Is that Glenn Ballard's studio?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
All right. Well, welcome John to the podcast. John, welcome.
Hi, my name is John. I'm from New Jersey. I wanted to first thank Jeremy for letting me come on. I want to just say what he does. I think Jeremy is like the best out of any. He's better than Zane Lowe. This is not easy to do. And there are people that are especially over COVID that watch this like I did, and just really, it was like comforting. So you're a real master at this, at your craft. So thanks. So I've seen Stevie 40 times live. And I think
God damn.
By the end of Unleashed, which was 2009, the Fleetwood Mac tour, I was kind of like, little like burnt out. And then as Jeremy was talking about, we had after Say You Will, we had 05, there was like the Henley, the Gold Dust tour. Then, you know, she did the Tom Petty run. I saw her on that. 7, I saw her a bunch of times on Crystal Vision, you know, so it was just like what Jeremy's saying, the same, like, you know, it was fun, especially if you had good seats, but, you know, it was the same thing. So I got a little burnout by Unleashed. Then I got excited when she performed with Taylor Swift, but from there on, like I was kind of out of Stevie land. I was into, I guess, I don't know, Heart and other people, but I only reconnected with her in January of 11 when the actual Rod Stewart tour got announced. And
the Heart and Soul?
Yep. I don't know if anybody can see. Oh, wait, no, sorry. This is the Secret Love show. This one here.
You just wanted to show us your backside. All right.
Yeah. put a filter explicit. So that was that. And I heard Secret Love. And I think this is actually the cover of the Secret Love single.
It sure is.
That's an underused image right there. I love that.
It's awesome.
On your shirt.
So that was really it. It was that announcement of the Rod Stewart tour where you had the pre-order live on that day for the album, and then the instant download of Secret Love. And that's, I think, answered your question of how I found out about it. Thank you, Jeremy.
Absolutely. All right, Chris.
Oh, well, I must have come on right about the same time as John said, because going back, what is that now? 12 years? Is my math off? 10 years that this came out?
10 years ago. Yep.
10 years, yeah. Anyway, Secret Love was my first exposure. And I remember that from the demo days. That used to be an old demo. Of course, she changed it again, like she always does. But the essence of the song is there. So that's much like John. That's how I first caught wind of that there was a new album coming and that she was touring with Rod Stewart and Secret Love. I definitely heard that song, saw the video, and recognized it from the demo days. I always love, you know, because I'm an old school fan, I always love when she's bringing something back that's semi-familiar.
Right.
Which she continued to do onto 24 Karat. She kind of started it around Troubles Shangri-La. So it's kind of, but this is the only one that I'm aware of. Now, you guys might school me because you usually do. You guys are usually a little more current with her. Secret Love's the only demo that I'm aware of, but I think, Jeremy, you made references that Annabel Lee had been kicking around for quite some time.
Well, Moonlight was Lady from the Mountain.
Chris, you know that. You know that good and well as the rest of us. Don't play. You know Annabel Lee's been kicking around since 98.
No, I don't think I've ever. No, I'm not familiar with that one. I'm not. Seriously. I wish I was. I always learn things from you guys.
Yeah.
Surprised me because it seems like you're such a well-read fan
from the old school. But when I started listening to Jeremy's shows, and by the way, thank you so much for having me on, is that it's my favorite podcast by far. But one of the things that I love so much about it is that not only do I love Stevie Nicks and you have this wonderful cast who love her as much as I do, but I always learn stuff from you guys. And that's what is really fun for me, is learning new things about her.
Well, according to the comment I got yesterday from some woman whose name I can't remember, but apparently she's going to watch all these because she's a glutton for punishment. We don't know anything. So,
Jeremy, you're the best host ever. And I'll tell you 2 reasons why. 2 reasons. Not only your knowledge is unmatched, but you always do it with a sense of humor. And that's what I love so much.
What else can you do? Thank you.
I mean that sincerely.
I appreciate it. We have 3 people left. Roland, you've been with us since Wild Heart.
Yes, I am Roland from Canada, and I love this record. It's up there for me with Belladonna, Wild Heart, and Troubles Shangri-La. And I got to see this tour twice, including the Rod Stewart one. I saw this tour in Saratoga Springs, New York, and in Boston. And the cool thing about the Saratoga Springs tour show was that she sold signed copies of the CD for a measly $35, which is very cool.
Wow, you know Sharon signed it.
And by the way, if you guys are not aware, the UK version of the album has an extra picture here. Which
I love that picture.
That's awesome.
Yes, and it has that extra song. Yep. So I love this record and it has my favorite song, Moonlight, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
So that's
And Roland, it looks like it's in different packaging. It looks like it's in a digibook packaging. Mine's just a jewel case. Yours looks like it's in a special.
No, it was in the jewel case, but it just has the extra picture, and some of
one
the stuff
page?
is rearranged because they had to put the lyrics to My Heart.
Oh, because it had an extra track?
Yeah.
Better put those lyrics.
Now I gotta look at mine. I have the Barnes and Noble
So they kind of
edition.
rearranged a book.
I wonder what the concept was between Dave Stewart coming in the front way and going out the back way.
Is that the extra picture?
That's
Yeah,
the
that's it.
right, Roland?
Okay.
Yes, yeah, this one. Yeah.
I have the
Is that the one
Barnes.
with My Heart?
Yes, I have the Barnes and Noble edition. So Barnes
With
and
My
Noble
Heart.
had My Heart on there also.
I think mine's the Best Buy. Didn't they have
Okay.
different bonus tracks? Mine has cheaper than free, I think.
No, it was just
Which
Barnes
is her
and Noble.
best track ever.
cheaper than free.
Oh,
Yeah, right up there with Jane. Okay, Ronnie. Oh, we can't hear you, friend. I think you're on mute.
Okay, hi. I love your shirt, Jim. And nice haircut, Nathan. How are y'all folks doing?
Good.
good.
Thanks,
I
Ronnie.
can't believe it's only been a month. It seems like 2 or 3 months. I've been working too much. What was the question, Jeremy?
Oh, you're
I
just
don't-
introducing yourself.
By the way.
We're still in intros.
Oh, I'm Ronnie. I live in Columbus, Ohio currently, and I have crest strips in, so I talk with the lisp. I love the album. It's all around a little bit of everything, I think. You know, I love the R&B, and someone mentioned the Eurythmics thing, which you may be the one, that sounds like the most to me. It's not my favorite, but I still love the Eurythmics, and it's a great album.
So you have your crest strips, just like Madonna has her grills, giving her a lisp.
I know, right? Keeps me from drinking or smoking.
All right, and our final person to introduce. I used to call her my Sharon, but this month I'm promoting her to my Waddy Wachtel. She's always by my side. She's always by my side. She even joined me for the Joni Mitchell podcast.
Blazing solo.
Hey, how are you guys doing? So I'm Alicia. I'm from the Greenville-Spartanburg area of South Carolina. The first I heard about this record, gosh, it was sometime in 2010. I was working up in the foothills of the mountains at the time, and I was staying with my grandparents, and my grandparents are really old school. They don't have internet and they don't have a computer. So I just remember at some point in 2010, I think I got on the ledge, and I think I saw 2 or 3 of these little buzzer, little promo clips that Dave Stewart, and I went, oh, she's really going to, because I was like everybody else when I joined in 07, never going to do another record. We're just going to tour and retire at some point. So it was kind of exciting. And so then at that point, you just say, okay, we'll give it a year, because that's probably what it's going to take to make the record. And some things happen, and that job didn't work out come February of 11. And so and I didn't get another job until August, but that was during the recession, and I just graduated college. And so we won't go into all that. But this album was that great escape for me during those several months. And this became kind of the album of the year for me. It was, and I had fun pulling out all the books. Why sargasso, and I never picked up Anne Rice, because that was the first time I really got into horror books. So I picked up Interview and read that. And I think a year or so later, I read Witch and Hour. And so, but it was all because of what I was hearing through the music. It's like, so I had fun with this record, and that kind of kept the interest going with this. I know when Jeremy sent out everything in January, he said, for personal reasons. Street Angel is his favorite, and I came back with In Your Dreams. I love this record. It's a great record. So I put it up there right by Belladonna. This was the first, 2011 was the first time I saw Stevie live. So this was kind of the first, and great, and the music is good. I think it helps that you have the lyrics all done by Stevie. So it does give it that continuity.
Every song, huh?
Yeah, for every song, or a good chunk of every song. I know Dave Stewart put in a couple lines here and there. And I think that helped. I also think that he helped give her that space. Great. And I think that gave her the ability to just be her and to make this record. And so, and then I don't think she had the pressure like she did with Trouble, or even though there was 10 years, I think it was the record label said, okay, here's carte blanche, you know, here's the money you can use to make the record, and just go make a record. You're Stevie, you know how to do this, so we'll leave it to you. So there wasn't any, I feel like, backroom politics of, okay, you have to have this, you know, contemporary song like every day, or, you know, it was just.
You're going to need a single.
Yeah. And they just kind of looked at her and said, do your thing. And I think that helps with this record. And so, yeah, I like this record.
Cool. So let me do a little setup before we go into the track by track. For those, you know, we all know a lot about the creation of Stevie Nicks, but something that was different about this album is I feel like her and Dave Stewart were just chilling, and he would just come up with kind of an instrumental track, and she would pull out her journal, and then they would write songs together there as a songwriting duo. And I think this was, you know, maybe she put music to Mike Campbell's tracks in the past, but I think it overall, to actually sit in the room, I think Mike Campbell probably sent her cassettes and she would be alone in her room. But I feel like Dave Stewart was in the room with her with the guitar, and she'd be sitting there with her journals all spread out. That's how I felt. And Alicia, you said this was a fun album for you. I think, unlike any album before it, this was a fun album for Stevie. I think she really had fun making this album. And if you watch the documentary, and anytime she talked about it, she just lit up and kind of was glowing. And it was so nice after having to, you know, hear the same set list for how many times in the 2000s, to have her come back as a contemporary songwriter once again. It was so unexpected and so cool. And I will tell you all, the first time I saw that damn sizzle reel, I nearly fell out of my damn chair, because, you know,
I did fall out of mine.
You had the chorus of Moonlight, which at that point you didn't know it was Lady from the Mountain because the verses weren't in there. And it was like, holy shit, this is intense. And then it had a little bit of Wide Sargasso Sea. She's like, burn the house down. I'm like, Stevie. Like, this is kind of a little rock a little here. Like, she was hitting some notes
about that. I got in trouble about burn this house down, because I was walking around, you know, because I don't want to. Sorry, I'm sorry to take over. Let's just say that you shouldn't walk around and sing that in groups where you're, you know, because they will think that you are literally threatening arson.
Oh,
you
no.
Find yourself with a good talking to. So
it's all Stevie's fault. So from the evidence of the sizzle reel, she had some great visuals, and, you know, it sounded like I was dogging David Stewart. I think he did an amazing job on this album. He's done some stuff I loved and some stuff I didn't love in the past, but I think him and Stevie had a chemistry that's undeniable. And I remember the first time just hearing the clips and hearing the album, and I was like, this song's great. This song's great. This song's great. Like, it was such.
You think that they had sort of a late 50s love affair? However old
yes,
they are.
yes, yes.
Roland says yes. Could we take a?
We slept together.
I'm not voting on this.
In 2010.
No. Back in 80 something.
In the 80s.
That's how that song "Don't Come Around Here Anymore" came about.
Jeremy,
she said that to him like after he stepped out of her bed after their night together, and that's how the song came about.
I do not feel they had an affair on this album. I think it was totally a creative partnership.
But they had a one night stand back then.
Back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
But I don't
And
feel
there's
like
a
they
picture
did
of them together in the movie. There's a picture of them together back in 80 something.
right at the party. The
And
legendary.
Jeremy, don't
Yeah.
forget the Italian summer in the video. Just
Oh yeah, when she hit the
Isn't
note.
that gorgeous?
She hit the note.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, I watched that over and over
Not
and
that
over
high.
and over and over. The Secret Love, when the single cover artwork that Nathan was talking about, I was like, this is on point. The first time I heard Secret Love, I thought that must be a single mix the way it ended. I'm like, I can't wait to hear the album version. But that's just the way the song ends. That wasn't a single mix. Yeah, so do we have any thoughts on the lead up to In Your Dreams before we actually go into the album track by track?
I think if it wasn't for Dave Stewart, there would not be this album. I mean, he was really responsible for all the visuals and all the
Yeah.
videos too, because they were basically very high-end home movies.
I want to just find him and I want to find him and give him a big hug.
Yeah, and if he wasn't there, I don't know whether she would have done the videos at all unless the company pushed her. And the visuals are just beautiful. I mean, look at these, all the nice pictures and the care she took, unlike the Street Angel cheap old packaging. Yeah.
Do you think there's
what I
videos
mentioned,
we haven't seen?
What's that, Steven?
Do you think there's videos we haven't seen? Like it
Yes.
seems like there's a video for Italian Summer. I was really looking forward to it.
Right. And
As it
Annabel too.
materialized.
Annabel.
why would you look forward to
Yeah.
I don't know
that?
whether they were pieces or completely shot videos. Who knows? It
Yeah.
could have been just like little, here with just 10 seconds with that, and that's it.
Well, that was a lot of work.
Oh, and
She
I
had
got
a
this
big old
when I-
dress for that.
Let's make sure to raise our hands so we're
Yeah.
not all talking over each other. It's not a hot mess. Okay, Alicia.
Well, I was wondering about why Sigaro C. I mean, with Steven talking about all the different music videos. I mean, I watched Sunday, the documentary, and they had a good 2 minutes for that with all the drums and people waving. So that's a lot of money to bring them in for just 2 minutes. You would think that they would have done a whole music video.
I feel like
I think they did. My feeling is they did, but I don't know that. I just believe it.
I think
They
Dave
can only
Stewart
make
did it
sense,
all
Jim.
just for free. Like I think it was like a passion project for him. Don't you guys kind of feel that way?
For who?
Yeah.
For Dave Stewart, I think he filmed everything and just did it for fun.
No, I don't feel that way. I think that maybe to a large extent it was, but I would say to an equally large extent, or I don't want to argue the length of the thing, but it's like, no, I think that he absolutely sees some marketability and some more making relevance to himself by
course.
partnering with Stevie. Yeah. No, I don't think it was completely a passion project, but
I
in
mean,
large
he
part
made his
it was
money.
because for which one of us wouldn't it be a passion project for?
Right.
Right? We'd all do that out of the good of our hearts, even though.
I mean, from following Dave Stewart in the more modern years, it seems like he finds these artists that he supports, and he really supports them with all his heart. Like I can't remember any of the names of the artists, but he would.
Joss Stone.
Yeah, Joss Stone, and he really did a lot with her and for her, right?
Jagger.
All right. Well, let's go into. John, did you have something?
Sorry, I just want to say for Alicia, for when she talked about the people with drums, if you go back and watch 24 Karat Gold, Belle Fleur has the White Sargasso Sea video in it. But just as far as the lead up to In Your Dreams, I'm old, so I used to go on the Knicks Fix.
I remember
the Knicks.
In
Remember
Your
that?
Dreams gave us the new website, which I think was stevienix.reprise.com, and then it turned into something else. So on that Rod Stewart launch day with the Ellen announcement, that's when we still had Knicks Fix, but the pre-order took us to the new Stevie Nicks site, and it still wasn't a great site.
Didn't a guy named John do Knicks Fix, or am I imagining things?
I think so,
Um,
yeah. That was a great fan site. I think it still exists. It's not gone.
But it doesn't get updated at all.
Right.
It's
It's still
like
there.
archived.
I feel like a GeoCities banner is going to pop up like, on the website.
Back in my day, that was the authority on her.
Yeah,
Yes.
because he would get. Didn't he post some of her like journal entries after like 9/11? Like I feel like he had some access to her.
Also, interesting to point out, when Chris Nix one time went through a lot of the old merchandise from tours that hadn't sold, he put them on sale through that site. I bought a bunch of stuff.
Roland, was your hand up?
And they were from old
Yes.
tours.
Yes, the Knicks fix said he did have access to Stevie, and she used to answer fan questions online, but they were the most boring answers. Is yes, no, yes, no. Whereas they had Lori on, and she was a little more chatty with her answers.
Wasn't
But that
Marilyn
didn't last very
Martin?
long.
Wasn't Marilyn Martin on there or somebody else? Like they had some other randos.
She's lovely. Her backup singers seem like the loveliest ladies. You know, they're always kind and sweet. And if you want, and if you can't get Stevie's attention in concert, even though you know she sees and hears you, then Sharon or one of those other two, Lori or Marilyn, will absolutely give you some attention. It's true.
Do you know what I love is their drummer? There was like before they had the choreography and after, because now they have like their little things they do in. Which all right. In your dreams.
You guys all wanted to.
In your dreams. So I remember the first time I heard Secret Love. Like John said, it was the first single from the album. It was the only new track that she performed on the Rod Stewart tour. But it was so exciting because I was with my friends. I'm like, this is the new Stevie Nicks song. This one right here. You know, I was so excited that I got to hear a new Stevie Nicks song live after having to hear Stop Dragging My Heart around 8,000 fucking times. Excuse my French. Okay, so Secret Love, Chris was not familiar with that demo. I know it was around, but for some reason it just never crossed my radar. Or maybe I started listening to it.
And mediocre.
Yeah, it is. Maybe I just started listening to like the ding, ding, and I'm like, yeah, next. But the first time I heard it, I was like, I loved it. I felt like there's like a catch in her vocal that had like kind of an emotion that I hadn't heard from her in a long time. So let's we'll do the raise hands. What did you all think of Secret Love the first time you heard it? Roland.
Love it. I remember the demo way back then, and I was anticipating the official version, so I really like it. And nice video, and it's a great opening track and a very strong track too. I will have to complain about the record cover. I mean, it does not really look like her. Did they Photoshop her face? I don't know.
A little bit.
You think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of.
Hell yeah.
Not my favorite cover.
Roland.
No?
And
I got to see
because it's apocalyptic. That's Behold a Pale Horse
movie where she did the cute.
Nice.
Yeah. And I got to see the In Your Dreams movie where she showed up and did the Q&A after, and Nick was sitting about 2 rows behind me in Toronto, which is really cool.
Oh, I love it.
And that interview is online somewhere on YouTube.
All right, so I have Steven, then Jim.
Great song.
I didn't have my hand raised.
Oh, you just gave it a A?
Yeah, I'm not.
I felt like it
one of my lesser songs on the album.
I like the song, but it's weird because there was a different early incarnation of the album. They had a different track listing. Is everyone familiar with that? Originally, it opened with Moonlight.
Oh,
that's right. I read that. I think the earlier choice.
That would be a strange opener.
But it would be a strange opener, but it is kind of more of an epic along the lines of like.
It would have fit our epic thing because this one did not start with an epic. So you're right. Had she put that first, you're right, Jeremy. You would have got your epic first opening.
But I thought Secret Love was easy breezy, and then it was a nice opening. Jim.
Yes, there was a story about the album cover, the bubble that she's in. That's actually a photographer error. Someone was taking pictures right there, and the sun hit the lens just in the middle. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but
happy accident.
Happy. Oh yeah. I mean,
kind of like the Trouble in Shangri-La cover, where that was the first Polaroid they snapped, and everything else after that.
Okay.
Supposedly the cover of the Trouble in Shangri-La album was a Polaroid that somebody snapped right as she was coming up into the stairs, into the archway, the portal, if you will, and you get the idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, John.
Okay.
Is the Secret Love Peter Frampton?
Good idea.
She doesn't even know. In all her interviews, she said she doesn't remember. I wouldn't want to remember if it's Peter Frampton.
You wouldn't forget.
Did she shack up at Red Rocks?
Yeah. Maybe that's why she took so long to get on stage for Edge of 17 at Red Rocks. She's like, oh, Peter's out there.
It's way older than that, isn't it? The demo?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's older. I'm kidding. It's way older.
Okay. Sorry.
I really liked
I
the
think it dates
intro
back
that they did, that electronic-y, weird kind of bouncy thing. Didn't that start off the album well? I thought it was just great.
Yeah, I think so. I like the beginning.
Yes.
It reminded me slightly of her giving it the Planets of the Universe type of arrangement,
Like-
where she was going to an old demo, but giving it kind of this updated, kind of dancey, bouncy vibe. I don't
The
know what you
modern
call it, like a
sheen.
lot of electronic, you know.
Mm-hmm. Cool, John.
So just to give it a little bit of more, buttress it a little bit, I thought it was a good opening track because I like how it kind of like Trouble in Shangri-La has that opening like, and then the acoustic comes in. I like how this has, like you said, Jeremy, like it hits the chord and then it comes in with the, I guess the drums. I thought it was a good opening track because it was kind of like it was like a Star Wars in a way, long ago and so far away, whatever, a long time ago, is that chord, and then dun, 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 is where the music comes in.
It is
But
Star Wars. That's great.
one thing recently that happened to me, I used to think that the lyrics were my secret love secretly died, and then when I heard must secret love secretly die, I was like, wow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, how will we feel 10
I thought it
years
was the
from
first
now?
way. I thought it's mine.
How will we feel 10 years from now, John? You know that's arguable and debatable.
Hold on, I gotta look at my lyrics.
Well, there's the lyrics in the book, there's the lyrics that you hear, and there's the lyrics that she sings. Which one are y'all gonna
Alicia's on it.
which one are you gonna take, Jeremy?
I'm gonna go with the lyric book.
That kind of clears it up for me.
Must secret love secretly die.
And Jeremy, you were also at opening night of the Rod Stewart tour. You
Yes,
elevate yourself to the opening night.
it was awesome. So I got to see the first live performance of Secret. Did she? Can we talk about how she did it on some talk show and she's really going to town with the hand motions though? You know how she starts doing like the where there's like scissors, she'll be like she'll do whatever the word is.
I thought it was
Yes.
good. It's one of
I
the
can't wait for what it's worth. Roland, do you know the dance?
Yes.
Oh, the Stevie Nicks hand motions. Alicia, what do you think of this song?
I liked it. I mean, it was something. I can't say it any better than John. I mean, you have that kind of chord, and then you have. It felt like kind of like the cover. It's like, okay, let me start putting the. I don't know how to explain it because visually it makes me feel like. Let's put the lines around our like crystal mirror ball and say, okay, here we are. Let's create this little escape world. And it's also good that she did it with like it's an old demo. So it's like really, really her, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So while it's maybe not the big epic song, this is like retro Stevie getting a facelift or something, with all the modern technology. And it was it has the cryptic, you sit there and go, oh, secret love, who's the secret lover? And I thought it was very interesting. But I thought it was, I like the lyrics. It's a song that, it's very Stevie in the sense that she's not sitting here saying, I'm looking for forever. Can we have a couple months or something? Can you help me out?
Right.
That's very much in her domain.
I love that line about she's not asking forever. That is maybe the best line in the song. I take that. Can I challenge card though? How about the worst part of the song is ooh-wee.
Oh,
I guess
so
hi ho the Dario.
Yep.
So that's all I have.
Oh my
to
God,
say.
it's
Ooh-wee.
actually typed out in the lyric book. I never noticed that. Ooh wee, it's typed out.
Why not ooh please?
Yes.
I mean,
This is a different artist, but Tina Marie had a song called Ooh Wee, and that was also not my favorite Tina Marie.
Wee. That's some country Shit. And y'all know that I have talked on this podcast before about how I love how Stevie bridges the gap between country and country folk and rock folk.
You know, in an interview, she's like,
is a bridge too far.
She's like, that ooey is dedicated to my grandfather, Jesse. He was a country singer.
Like there are places in Tennessee, Jim. What I don't know. Ooh-wee, Tennessee. There's a connection.
Ronnie, we haven't heard from you about Secret Love. Am I allowed to call on you, or you're crest stripping it?
I can't get that to unmute. No, it's fine. It's a good song. It's grown on me compared to the rest of the album. I didn't really care for it at first, but it was a new Stevie song, which we hadn't heard in forever.
Right.
So it was good, and I liked the video, but it's grown on me. So yeah. Ooh wee.
How'd you feel about ooh wee?
Ooh wee.
Well, now that you mention it,
you know what? I'll take the ooh wee. John, I saw your hand up.
I just Nathan got me thinking about the other the question she's asking, or desire. I'm not asking salvation from you. I'm just asking to be saved for a while. It's like, wow, it's crazy. Nice. Like, just saved in a moment. Like, is this, when you think about it, like 10 years later, like for me, when the album's hot, I'm just like, wow, new Stevie, the music sounds nice. But like, when you think about it now, to be saved for a while, it's like you can go anywhere with that.
Yeah, I can really relate to these lyrics in my tumultuous, many tumultuous relationships. All right. Yes, Chris, and then Jim.
Well, just to adding to that, because sometimes if I get a thought, I better spew it out now or I'll forget it. Isn't that kind of how she kind of like stakes her whole life? Like, she's very proud of the fact that she really belongs to no one, but just has these series of these tremendous love affairs. Like, she's very candid in public on television about that, you know, she's a career woman first and she never married. I'm sure there's a bit of a regret there as well, but she usually always spins it that she's had this tremendous, these tremendous love affairs, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she says it quite proud, she says it with a lot of pride and not in like a, shameful way or anything,
Which I love. Own it, baby.
And that's part of the whole package. And I don't know what people are talking about on the ledge recently, where they've been kind of picking that bone in the last week or so about, well, in the 70s, somebody said, those people are probably watching this. I don't take any issue with that comment about she banged the 1970s, I think is what the comment was.
Oh, for God's
sake. I don't take any exception with that. I mean, it's a colorful way to illustrate a point, and it gets the point across. But some people are suggesting that, well, she tried to be some kind of puritanical angel in the 70s, and that's just not who she was. And I've never seen that. I have always seen there is a certain romanticization that is that the right word?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going off the cuff about those the short-lived sort of flings, for lack of a better word, and for people who aren't in long-term relationships, I think that really speaks to them. And that's one of the things I love about her.
I have a message for everyone on the ledge. The 1930s are over. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with a little sexual freedom. So let's not slut shame. I've had many affairs, just like Stevie.
Oh, her past is tame by today's standards.
I know.
That's my favorite thing about her,
it doesn't even chart.
And if a man does that, it's totally fine. No one's dogging Mick for, okay. There was more on the menu at Fleetwood's than just the clam chowder, baby. All right, John, was your hand up? No? Did I miss anybody? Jim? Okay, Jim.
Yes.
Can we go to after Jim's done?
It's a very warm song about, conflicted love. It sounded like it was a short-term relationship, which kind of leads to Mr. Fleetwood. I think that's really, it's on the demo, it's a very old demo. She's almost like crying on the demo, just very gut-wrenching. The demo. And Stevie like buried this song. And it was I think it was that Ballard guy, Glenn Ballard, brought it to her. He saw it on the that it was a jam,
Yeah.
and the documentary, and Stevie was kind of
nuggets in the world
to even do it because I think there's some secret love. There's some secrets there, and it might have been the Fleetwood affair.
Is that what you think it's about? That's an interesting idea, Jamie. You think it's about Fleetwood?
You can just whoever she'd been with, and you kind of match up the time period, and that's that's like the Dreams era, Rumors era type demo. That's pretty old, I think.
Mm-hmm. I saw Chris's hand and Alicia.
The demo, but here she brings out a very mature, after the fact thing, and being a teacher about, this is what I've been through, and I'm, and it's a teaching moment for whoever's going to be listening.
Yeah.
I think it's a very warm song about, conflicted love. I just said that. It has great production, but there's like some elements of old school to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the video. That video is pretty cool. Where they like at the end where Stevie goes poof. What happened? All right,
Chris, then Alicia.
Oh, I just wanted to get the thought out while I had it. I'm sure we're going to get to that song anyway, so maybe I should save it. Maybe that's where Alicia was going. But the minute I heard Wild Sargasso Sea, I thought immediately this is about the Mick affair. Now, songs are open to interpretation. I get that. And she can be a bit cryptic, but doesn't she make reference to an Englishman and Hawaii and all these things? I said, is this like basically an open love letter about her affair with Mick Fleetwood? That's the way I interpreted it.
I think it's from a book, but let's wait till we get to that song so we don't jump in. Yeah. Okay, Alicia.
So I was listening to the Jim Laud interview that she did for this record this afternoon while I was at work. And she was saying that Secret Love was written in like 75. And And she was talking, I can't remember who, maybe it was Glenn Ballard, but she was told by somebody that they actually were working on this during the Belladonna time frame.
Wow.
And so it's not, I don't know if it was finished or not. And I don't know if that's where the demo came in. But then when I looked back at the documentary on Sunday, she was saying that they found her demo because they couldn't find it in her stuff. And
oh, that's right.
And they
She
had
sent Lori to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like you do.
Yeah. And they ended up finding it on YouTube, which she said, I don't know if I should be happy about that or upset about that. And it was really, I guess this is the first album where you really start hearing her opinion about us having quite a good bit of her bootleg or her demos and stuff. And I thought that was very interesting, bringing that up because this is the one that really kind of sparked that little.
It was the single and stuff.
Did she go any further from the fact that she had to get it from YouTube? Because you said this is the first time we heard about her feelings on us. I mean, it's pretty weird that the artist has to go to YouTube to get her own demo.
What she
has to.
Well, the Jim Laud interview, she was saying that she probably made the demo, put it on the counter in the kitchen, and she said probably before I was able to put it in a little box or whatever and send it back home to Phoenix, somebody probably swiped it, made a copy, and put it back on the counter. And somehow that copy was able to get into the hands of fans, and we've been able to have this copy. And of course, somewhere in the late 2000s, everybody was uploading everything up onto YouTube. So when she sent Lori back to Phoenix to find that cassette, they couldn't find it.
Right.
And but somebody brought it to her team's attention that, well, this song is here on YouTube, and they went, yep, that's the demo. That's what we're looking for. And that's when she went, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I don't know if she really made a lot about it in Crystal Visions, but at that time, YouTube wasn't as big as it was at that point in 10 and 11. So to me, it's very publicly where she was starting to kind of criticize and talk about selling records and
Right.
trying to support, you know. So I thought that was interesting. And I agree with her. I mean, if you're going to drop whatever they had to on this album and all the projects, and I mean, the graphics and the pictures and everything are on point. It really added to the magical album. She was calling this her little Rumors album, or her version of Rumors. And I really do agree with it, with that statement.
With which statement exactly, Alicia? So you're saying you agree with which statement exactly?
The statement about this being her little Rumors, or her version of Rumors. She was kind of saying this is her little Rumors album. Like every track is strong and this is really her.
All sequenced just like she like it.
Yes.
And we also had to mention that Glenn Ballard had a big part of this album. Glenn Ballard, who was popular for first Wilson Phillips. He brought us Wilson Phillips, and then he brought us Alanis Morissette.
Mhm.
So Wilson Phillips, Hold On One More Day. Alanis Morissette, You Ought to Know, and Stevie Nicks, Secret Love. There's the trilogy of Glenn Ballard, the Holy Trinity. All right, do we have any thoughts on? Okay, Steven.
Yeah, Jim, you brought up a good point that her vocal on the demo for Secret Love really connected with the lyrics of the song in a way that the modern recording missed out on, in my opinion. And that's why this song doesn't resonate with me. It just seems like a filler song because she's just kind of singing it, and it doesn't have the passion that it needed to pull off such simple, heartfelt lyrics like the demo did. The demo's beautiful.
See, I didn't like the demo at all. I thought it was boring.
I feel the exact opposite of that.
Oh, that's fine.
I thought this was a sparkling little pop song. I think it's a sparkly
I think it
pop
sparkles
song.
on In Your Dreams. I think it sucked on the demo tape.
Because they had like the... Okay, Chris, I saw your hand was up.
Well, just to piggyback off of what Stephen was saying, I know I'll probably get a lot of hate for this, but that's how I felt about Planets of the Universe. Even though I know you guys love the whole electronic version, and I've learned to love with that, but I love the original vocal. Sometimes her old vocals are really hard to beat. See, I'm an old school fan. I grew up like in the 70s and 80s, so I'm very attached to that 20-something Stevie Nicks.
You didn't like the techno remix? I pulled out the Planets of the Universe CD single and listened to those damn remixes.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. He was saying the vocal, not the track, the vocal.
We're jumping ahead, but that's how I felt about The Dealer. Ooh. Okay. Ooh.
To you guys, I'm gonna have to fucking take a Klonopin and send it next day delivery to everybody because we all going to sleep if we don't move on to track 2.
All right. So apparently we have a new host tonight. It's Nathan.
I'm sorry.
We have a new host. He didn't even raise his hand either. All right. Okay. Well, do we have any thoughts on Secret Love?
It was only a matter of time, but that's the last word I'm saying.
Thank you. Well, you're welcome to say anything as long as you raise your hand. Okay. Thank you so much. Like Lindsey Buckingham's first solo album, we got to keep some Law and Order, baby. Any thoughts on Secret Love before we move on? And I would like to mention our Joni Mitchell For the Roses podcast was 4 hours and 30 minutes.
Move it.
Okay. So the next song starts off with a little ding-a-ling. There's a little bell.
Ding.
It was a track that Mike Campbell had sent Stevie Nicks and she wrote lyrics to. And I remember the first time I heard For What It's Worth, which, of course, I have the promo single with the single edit. This is the only place where you can get the single edit on the promo single. First time I heard this song, I was like, holy, this is so good. I just thought it was so beautiful. I thought the lyrics had that Stevie Nicks depth that she's only capable of. Okay. Apparently it was written about her bus journey on the Street Angel tour with a gentleman who has passed away, correct? I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but wasn't he a drummer?
The drummer on the tour? That one?
Russ Kunkel?
No, he wasn't the drummer on the tour. He was just a friend. I think he played with Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Yeah.
Daryl
Taylor something?
Derek. Taylor?
Yeah.
Eric Taylor?
Yeah.
You guys are such drama. I don't know. I
I'm learning stuff.
Eric Taylor. That sounds exactly right, actually.
You know, the backstory, it's, you know, Street Angels, Stevie Nicks was at her lowest point, and I think this friend of hers kind of was by her side when she started climbing uphill, and this uphill climb kept going all the way till In Your Dreams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that tour on the bus, we have to thank that for everything that happened after that. That's where the seed was planted, where she started coming back. So I think it's a beautiful song.
It's a
When
nice
she
song.
sang it live on the tour in the 3-part harmony with the backup singers, just was so gorgeous. How do you all feel about this song?
I like this song. I like when she collaborates with Mike Campbell. I think they have a good chemistry together. They've written a lot of great songs together, and this is one of their better ones.
Except for what was it? Didn't they do Desert Angel together?
Oh, off the
Time Space.
Time
so.
Space.
yeah, off Time Space. That's got Mike Campbell on it.
I thought, I could be wrong. That's totally off the top of my head.
I'm thinking Imperial Hotel.
interject
That's where my
you
head's
guys,
going.
Not to be a total. I'm sorry, Chris. I don't mean to cut you off.
Nathan, use your hand.
Oh,
Ronnie's
fuck.
next. Ronnie's next.
Oh, but now I'm stuffing my face with popcorn. So.
Okay, go ahead, Nathan.
I say it with love. I do it with love. I think the album is called, well, this is a total sidebar, but I just don't know the name of that album that came out in 1991. Is it Time Space?
Time Space, yeah.
Is it Time's Pace?
Time Space.
Time
Or
Space.
Time Space or Time Space. I mean, there's about 3, maybe 4 different ways to pronounce those 2 words as a compound word. And that's one of the things that I love about the title of Time Space, is the fact that you can call it Time Space or Time's Pace. In other words, the pace of time.
All right, Ronnie.
Totally off topic, but she named it Time Space because she didn't want to seem like an oldies act and call it Greatest Hits. She felt like her career was going to be over if she called it Greatest Hits.
So
Yeah,
instead,
back
she
in that-
collaborated with Bret Michaels.
Yeah. And back to its Time Space.
She's so beautiful and wonderful. I love everything she does,
Yes.
pretty much.
Back to For What It's Worth. It's an excellent song. It's wow. When I first heard it, I was like, whoa. I know Joni Mitchell's work a little bit, you know, her popular songs, but I'm like, this is like a throwback to maybe not Joni Mitchell, but that's all right.
Okay. Or like, I felt like Landslide, like that, just acoustic, just the guitar and voice. It was nice to just have the guitar and voice again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's
Roland.
all I have to say about that. But thank you, Jeremy.
Very nice song. I heard that it was Russ Kunkel who's the mystery man here because he was on a tour, I believe. That's what I heard.
What would we say? I think it was Dallas Taylor, because
I think it was a Crosby person.
she named the song For What It's Worth. Isn't For What It's Worth a Crosby, Stills and Nash song also?
Yeah, it's also a Buffalo
Springfield,
Springfield
yeah.
song.
Oh, Buffalo Springfield, yeah.
Who Stills and Young were in.
I guess it doesn't really matter who the song's about. It's just like, it's fun to know for trivia. But overall, the feeling of the song is what I'm in love with. It just, you know, I got to sing, I got to dance, I got to be part of a great romance. Isn't that what
And
we
a
all
nice
want in
video,
life?
too. Very nice video.
All right, Alicia, I saw your hand was up.
I think this is one of the stronger tracks on the record. I think it's one of the best. Of course, Moonlight is probably number 1, but to me, this is her going back to her country roots, and it's very lush. It's very beautiful, and she says a lot with all the simple lyrics. I like how she put towards the end, "Thank you, I won't forget, for what it's worth," as she kind of does that falsetto there at the end. It's very heartfelt. It's like she does realize, and it has been something that's kind of been in the back of her brain this whole time since Straight Angel, you know. And it really does give some depth to this.
Some gravitas to the song.
I thought it was nice that she was writing about her history more than just the rumors era. You know what I mean? She was giving herself a mythology.
Yes.
About the Street Angel tour. Like, I just thought that was awesome. I don't know. I love this song so much. All right, John, is your hand up or are you itching your nose?
Oh.
Okay. And then Jim.
Sold.
So I wanted to jump off what Nathan said earlier about the sequencing of this album, which is exactly what Stevie was like really patting herself on the back for during the press for this, that she sequenced it perfectly. And I think this is the perfect song. And I think you were getting at this too, Jeremy, with the ding-a-ling. This is the best song for her to go to track number 2 with.
Right.
And just a little info. She was supposed to perform this song when she did The Voice, June 29th, which was, she played with Rod Stewart in Hyde Park, London in 2011. I think it was June 26th. Then she came back to perform with Javier Colon, who was Adam Levine's contestant, but they wound up doing Landslide, but she was supposed to do For What It's Worth and Landslide, but they just wound up doing Landslide.
All right, Steven.
I wonder why they switched last minute. John, what's your interpretation of why they switched that at the last minute?
Probably just poor planning by production, and they're like, we don't want to hear this song. I mean,
to do
after that, Landslide was like the only song she did on TV. It's just like people want to hear that song.
All right, Steven, your hand was up.
I have to say, whenever Stevie brags about sequencing an album, the first thing I do is resequence it. So it's throwing me off in this conversation because I've never listened to this outside of the first play in sequence ever once. Like, I always move like the first song way to the back of the playlist and bring Moonlight to the front and the more exciting songs towards the front of the album.
I love it.
Personal taste.
And that's the cool thing about music, because we all have our own way of listening to it, and none of it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So it seems like we all like For What It's Worth. Jim.
Yes, it's a very sweet song, and I think it's up there with Landslide in some ways. It's up there. It's very confessional, and as the story goes, there's a tape in that there's a bit on that documentary where she's in Hawaii, and I think they recorded it where Stevie's off camera and she's singing the lyrics to this with the track.
Really cool moment. I know what you're talking about.
Someone grabbed the tape. I think it was Jessie, her niece.
Her niece, yeah.
Tape and started recording. It was on the fly, like it should be. Stevie, some of her greatest stuff, Dreams, is one of them. Rhiannon was written real quick with Landslide up in Aspen, after probably a big fight with Lindsay, and he took off, took the dog. He took everything, the car and the dog. And she was...
That handsome, cool guy.
Yeah. But, we lost someone. Am I here?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay.
I hope so.
Right. Okay.
All a dream.
Yeah, and I love the video. Oh, the one thing, it's kind of funny. My wife kind of complains about, am I still here?
Yeah.
Okay, I just saw. Okay.
Who's to say, Jim? Who's to say for sure?
my what is worth video. She was wearing what you call the Reebok. What do they call them? Those. She wasn't wearing her heels.
She wore the Reebok sneakers.
It's been perfect video if she had the heels on in the sand. It's been sexy.
I never noticed this. I only watched the video once because I love this song so much that I didn't want the video to ruin what it means to me.
It's a great video.
I know, she's on the bus. They're all on the bus. I remember it.
A great video. It's and give credit to Mike Camel. Great track.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right.
Oh, Alicia.
Okay, I'm curious to know what Steven's sequence is, and how you put this as a track list. If you want to write it down and distribute it or whatever, I'll be interested to see how you have it.
Oh yeah, I'll send it to you tonight. Yeah.
No, I want the Steven version of every album.
Okay. Well, it's more rock. like, because I like the rock and roll screaming, so I always gravitate towards that heavier.
So does the other side of the mirror open with a whole lot of trouble?
No.
Not
It's not on
guilty.
the sequence.
Have mercy. Okay, Chris.
Stephen, I'm not going to make you go through the whole sequence, but is Moonlight the opening track?
I believe so. It's been a while.
So Cheaper Than
Yeah,
Free is not
usually-
open.
Yeah, I kind of did an edit of Moonlight that made it a faster song,
Oh,
and I opened up with that and stretched it out a little bit.
How do you make it faster? You speed it up?
My version starts with cheaper than free,
Audacity.
and it ends with cheaper
You
than
can speed
free.
it and edit. What'd you say, Jeremy?
no, it was Nathan.
Nathan, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make a joke in there that my version starts with cheaper than free and it ends with cheaper than free.
I think that was actually Reese Witherspoon talking.
Oh God.
She's the worst, isn't she?
All right. Any thoughts on For What It's Worth before we move on to track number 3? Can we all agree this is some of Stevie Nicks' best songwriting? Yeah, I love it. And
Good
it's
song.
definitely stood the test of time. I love it just as much today as I did the first time I heard it.
I'm with that. Maybe more.
Yeah. Okay, so the first time I heard the title track, In Your Dreams, I had to say I was pleasantly enjoying how fucking good it is. Like the first time I heard it, I'm like, this is a Stevie Nicks rocker. And it just had that, it kind of had that breeziness and that accessibility where you could just get into it in the way that you could with like songs like Enchanted to me. Like you can just really get, I don't know. I loved it. Chris.
You just stole the words right out of my mouth, so there's no point in me repeating it. I was going to say, does it remind you of Enchanted? You already said it, so.
And it reminds me only in the feel. Like I don't think it's like
exactly. Just this. I think it's the tempo.
Right, the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
And apparently the song was about her lighting director from her tour, because she was touring with Trouble in Shangri-La after 9/11, and she was scared to go back out on stage, and she would look to her lighting director for comfort. So, you know, even though that may be the literal meaning behind some of the lyrics of the song, to me, it's evasive enough where it can mean whatever you want it to mean. And that's what makes Stevie Nicks such a great songwriter. Like, she might be writing about her lighting director, but I had a really bad relationship with this rapper from 2 towns over. And I just remember listening to this song, and I was always in and out of his light.
Mm-hmm.
And now I blocked him on everything. Okay. Whose hands were up?
I think Steven's was up before mine, but go ahead, Steven.
No.
It's interesting that it makes more sense to me now because I always thought that, I always thought that Lindsay should be singing on this with the back harmony.
Okay.
Call and response.
That would be good.
I'm just in the shadow of your light, and then he would sing, I'm always in and out of your light, or something like that. But that makes so much more sense now. So that's the only thing. I love the song. I think it's great. Some people think it's country. Some people think it's rock. I think it's a little bit of both.
I think it's jingly.
Yeah, definitely. And not to get too far off topic, but can we talk about the Wiltern show?
Oh, yes. I meant to bring that up. She was actually doing new songs in concert. Holy crap. Ronnie, what do you think of that show?
Talk about on the Wiltern show?
I have a question for the group about the Wiltern show. I would pay probably myself personally, if only I could get a DVD of it, I'd pay probably $1,000 for that DVD.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, right? Y'all want to go in on that together? We should all get a pool together. I bet we get substantial sums together quick to get that bitch on tape.
Hey, John.
John, yes.
Yes, I had tickets to a album release show in New York City that she canceled because she had pneumonia. It was on May 4th. It would have been at Webster.
Oh, that darn pneumonia.
Yeah, Jeremy, this is interesting. Now I'm reading In and Out of Your Light differently. I thought it was the sound guy that she looked at.
What I thought. That's what I thought.
Oh, maybe it was. Maybe it was the sound guy.
But Ronnie brings up a good point about being in and out of the light, because now I'm thinking of the lighting director.
Right. I could totally be wrong. And if I am, I'm sure that lady that commented on my comments will gladly let us know.
It sounds like Mick is on drum because it kind of sounds like his rapid.
He is on drums, isn't he?
On this song. I know he's on Secret Love. I don't know about this, but it sounds like.
Oh. I feel in the documentary there's a clip of him playing this, but I could be wrong again. All right, any other and let's talk about how great the lyrics are. Like such great lyrics. Dave Stewart, I'm giving you a big old hug if I ever see you, just for bringing this album on. Jim, I saw your hand up.
Yes, it's a very up tempo car song. Be a good one to, on the road and start out with it going. It's a very positive. It's a very positive, uplifting song when you look into it. And it's very reassuring. And she said in the documentary, it's sort of like the people around her make it possible to put on her, shows and stuff. I think it goes a little deeper. The fans themselves, you read it.
Thank you, Jim.
Talking to her fans or loyal fans, it makes a lot of sense that way. In and out of your light, and things like that. And this is really all she's got, going up there in front of people, in and out, on the road for 9 months at a time, and then going back to, her private life.
The sweet girl syndrome.
SGS is a real thing. I love Jim's point. I totally love Jim's point. I forgot what I was going to say, because I see other people's hands up, and now I have this complex that I have to raise my hand, so I'm sorry. Roland, please go ahead. I forgot. I lost my train of thought.
This would have been a nice song done live. I don't know why she didn't. It was only at the Wilton show and the Cancel New York one, right?
Red Rocks.
It wasn't done live.
It was Wiltern and Red Rocks only.
Really?
Oh, really? She did Red Rocks? And she did not do it on the other. She didn't do it on the shows I saw. I know that.
Yeah.
So I wonder why she brought it for Red Rocks, and that was it. That's interesting.
Red Rocks was opening night. I think it was of that August tour. Yeah, I didn't see it till September.
Sometimes when she starts a tour,
it's a nice rocking song to get the audience, excited and stuff. I don't know why she dropped it.
Sometimes when she starts a tour, like other artists, there'll be a song that it's in the set for maybe a few days, and then it drops because they think it's not going over well or something.
Right.
Yeah, like Annabel Lee was dropped.
Oh.
Right, Nathan.
I just remember she described this song in an interview, and it maybe with the interview you guys have referenced, where she described the song In Your Dreams as a running beast through the jungle, like a lion or a tiger. It's like it's running through the jungle, and it just doesn't stop until you get to the end of it, and it really, there's different ways to anthropomorphize different songs, and I think that a jungle tiger is an apt description of track number 3 of In Your Dreams.
I do feel the energy maintains.
And I love the fact that you don't know what In Your Dreams, it's really one of her best lyrical entries. Has any other artist done In Your Dreams? Because you don't know if she's saying in your dreams or in your dreams as a reference thing. It works on 4 or 5 different levels, and really it's one of her greatest entries lyrically, I think. And people forget that, but I don't forget. I always remember.
Any other thoughts on the song In Your Dreams?
Beautiful.
Alicia.
Well, the lyrics that always pop out when I listen to this and I'm dancing along is, I'm just a dreamer, I'm a storyteller, it's all about you.
Oh, I love that.
That is so Stevie,
10 out of 10.
That sums up who she is.
And it's what I wanted to hear. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I remember when I first heard that song in its entirety all the way through, that little part right there was totally what I have been wanting to hear for the whole time that I've listened to it. Is it's not a narrative of her experiences, it's a narrative of ours, So it's really her best lyrical entry, the song as a whole.
right, Alicia, did you have anything else?
No, I was just, to me, that's some of the best lyrics that it just really sticks because that's kind of her motto. But I like this. It's a upbeat. What's great about this record is you only have one or two really, really slow songs. The rest of them are pretty mid-tempo to upbeat. So it's a great driving record.
Yeah.
And sing-along record too.
All right, so track number 4, Wide Sargasso Sea. Was it a book or a movie that this song was based on, or both?
Well, it was both. It started out as a book.
And in the book, basically the song is telling the story of the book, right? There's an Englishman that goes to the tropics and they burn a house down. And, I'm sure like everything Stevie does, there is an autobiographical place for herself in that song. But the thing I love from the sizzle reel is just hearing her kind of get wild on the vocals in a way we hadn't heard probably since Rock a Little. Because, she was kind of chill on the other side of the mirror and then Street Angel. But, she was going a little wild and I loved it. Roland, your hand was up.
I love that trippy guitar, like psychedelic guitar sound, the part where she, burn the house down, whatever part, or let's see, burn the house down. In the beginning, she was stunning that part, that trippy guitar sound, and the story is actually the prequel to Jane Eyre. So if you ever read that in high school or anywhere else, that's where the book comes from. So actually, she changed the story in her lyrics, because in Jane Eyre, in the Wide Sargasso Sea, the lady actually ends up being the crazy lady in the attic in Jane Eyre. She did not disappear in a red dress in the ocean. So it's kind of like Beauty and the Beast, where she has the beast dying in her song rather than getting together and being in love. So in her Wide Sargasso Sea, she's changing the story of the fairy tale, the story here too. Yeah.
I remember that she was talking about the drums of the song. How it was like there's a movie where there's these cannibals that are coming closer and closer.
And the natives, yeah.
Yep. When the drums finally get you, you're gonna get eaten alive, Diana Ross
style. That about Sarah too. Like when Fleetwood Mac had a Sirius XM channel in 18, I think she was like maybe thinking about Wide Sargasso Sea, but she was talking about the drums in Sarah. And then she said, when it stops the cat. I swear to God, because
she said the drums in Sarah were like cannibals.
Sarah, I kid you not. It was like one of her little clips in the Sirius XM Fleetwood Mac channel when they would go to her, and I'm like, I think
she got cocaine and cannibal confused. Because with Tusk, I don't think it was cannibal. Maybe cannabis.
That's when they engaged in cannibalism, I think, the most was on the during the recording of Tusk. No, that's when they did it. That's when they did cannibalism, was in the recording of Tusk. I swear to God, you guys, I know it.
All right, so of course we talked about on the sizzle reel. This was a hot section of that sizzle reel. I was like, damn, I was just like, I almost like the sizzle reel sometimes better than a full-length video, because you just get this real preview that just. The same thing happened with Madonna's Medellin video. Like the little preview guy, I was like, this is going to be the hottest thing ever. And then when you got the whole video, you're like, I wish I would have stuck with the sizzle reel. So I'm kind of glad that we don't have the full video of the song, because that little bit I got just is enough to give me life forever. All right. I saw a bunch of hands up. John, then Jim. Nope. Jim.
Me?
Yeah.
It's a very epic song. Very epic. Just the whole track. It's very fiery at the end. This is Stevie in her full power, just full on Stevie right here.
Yeah.
Lots of imagery, a lot of storytelling. I think, like you've been talking about, this is from literature. She pieced it together and made it a good work of art. Mm-hmm. And there might be a lot of personal stuff that she can relate to the song, but she never really said that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there might be a personal story, but I think this was just like Rihanna's kind of a mythology thing.
Sure.
Where she just wrote this just as her own entertainment. And there's some keyboard notes towards the end there. And I think like this might be Stevie herself. I don't have, my copy doesn't have any credits for the art, players, and I think there's some notes there, and that might be her because on Shangri-La, she's got 2 or 3, and there's some notation there that might be her. So listen to that. And this is just a very entertaining song for me. It's just very.
I love the beginning of the verse where she's just like, she burned his house down like nothing. Like, she burned his house down. All right, who's the next? Any more hands for wide? Okay, Alicia.
So I love this song. This is probably, gosh, it's probably the standout track, this and Moonlight for me. I always wondered why she never did this live. Is it because she would have a tough time recreating those drums? But or was it just not a hit? I don't know. I always liked all the great vocals that she did at the end. My face, my lips, that kiss. I mean, it's just.
You may have forgotten it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's and with this song starting out, this song, and then you have New Orleans, and then you have Moonlight, and then Annabel Lee. But it was like back to back to back, all these storytelling songs. So it was really interesting with like In Your Dreams, at least when I was listening to this, like the first time or two, how she said, I'm a storyteller, and here you go. Here's like 4 stories.
Yeah.
Back to back to back. So I thought that was interesting how she had that sequenced as well.
Any other thoughts on this epic piece of music? You know what? We had to sit through Mick Fleetwood's like 20-minute drum solo. I feel like he could do the drums on this song. Like bring Mick out with his drum.
Yes. No, on his pads, on his body pads.
Yeah, have him do a wide sargasso. Chris, was your hand up?
Yeah, I was just gonna piggyback off what Alicia was saying, is that she brought up an interesting point, and I noticed it today when I played it, that those 4 songs almost kind of play together like almost like a mini storytelling suite, kind of like on the second side of Other Side, where they seem to be connected. I always felt like these 4 were kind of like connected in almost like a small mini suite. And also what Alicia said, I agree that I do think it's one of the top 2 tracks on the record. And it's just I like how it's very orchestrated, and she kind of lets her voice go at the end of what she's capable of today. And it reminded me, it harkens back to Wild Heart, but not in the same way, because obviously what she could do in 83 to now is very different. But for, what did you say? She was in her early 60s when she did this record. For early 60s Stevie Nicks, towards the end, where she was kind of doing that old Stevie thing that we all love, when she just kind of used to go off and would say pull different phrases from the song and just kind of emote them. I like that because it harkened back to the Stevie that we all fell in love with.
Yeah.
I like this one.
Little phrases. That's so well said, Chris. Pull little phrases and just and riff on those.
Right. And if you've since you've all seen her live, that's, I don't know. I obviously fell in love with her mysticism, her look, her lyrics, her songwriting, all that stuff back in the early 80s. But one of the things I appreciated most about her as a live performer is that, I mean, she doesn't do it as much these days, but as Nathan just pointed out, that where she'll grab catchphrases that are so Stevie-esque, and she'll use her voice with an emotive way to kind of give it a new spin, where it's almost like the words have more power behind them because of the way she's delivering them.
And I'll go as far as saying, like, I loved Trouble in Shangri-La, but she didn't do this on that album. Like, she didn't go off at all like she did here.
No, but but still, even though she didn't do that, and you're right, I'm glad she did that on this record. I still harken back to that record, to that title track, because that title track still every time because of the orchestration of her voice.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on this song before we move on? Okay, John.
When I agree with Alicia about this being a live song, when the album came out, I was listening to the end where it's like, my face, My eyes, you may have forgotten. And then it was like, boom, 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 boom. You may have forgot. And I thought it would have been cool live. I may have been the only guy doing that thing with the clap. But I thought it would. I feel like this probably got rehearsed for 24 Karat Gold tour and probably didn't make it, just because, you know, there were so many songs on In Your Dreams that didn't get done on that tour that she probably would have liked to do. The other thing I wanted to mention was her uniform in the music video. That was the 05 to like studded pants that she was like, she finally wore.
There was a little skirt in there.
Yep. That guy, and the red streak in her hair.
That's how I like it.
So,
steam coming off the water. It was so hot. It was just so good. Chris, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I was just saying to John, it seems like sometimes her big production numbers that are like studio types, like say the Wild Heart opening track, it seems like she stays away from those sometimes live.
Right.
It seems like she goes for a more pedestrian, I hate to say that, but maudlin kind of mid-tempo songs live. And the really wild production, like Trouble in Shangri-La is a great example. Wild Heart's a great example.
I can't wait.
Sometimes they seem to be like studio pieces that she doesn't dare bring out live, because maybe when they rehearse them, it just doesn't have the same, do you know what I mean?
The same energy?
Impact, yeah. Which is, trust me, John, I'm disappointed in that fact. Because I agree with you and Alicia that it would have been awesome to see it live.
And she doesn't like to use pre-records and stuff like that. She likes to do everything live.
Right.
Got to conserve her voice. She can't just like let it all hang out every night.
Yeah.
Right.
We know what happened when she did that on with Rhiannon on the Rumors tour. By the time Tusk came, her voice dropped an octave.
Well, that's why her voice has changed so much over the years from doing that early on. She spent it all. She's got to be really conservative.
What you did on the Rumors tour.
And it didn't help in '82 with Sisters of the Moon either.
No.
Yeah.
Which
Speaking in tongues.
I'm not hiding. Don't get me wrong. I'm ready to fight this out, you guys. It's like, I'm ready.
Okay. Do you have any other thoughts on this song? So I remember there was a website.
Is it Sargasso or Sargosa?
I think it's Sargasso.
Sargasso.
All right. No, you guys can think that if you want. I have no idea, so I believe it's Sargasso too, because I'll go with y'all. I'm a country guy from country places, from country folks, and that's how we pronounce it, is Sargasso. So.
All right. So there was a website, I think it was HMV, that was one of the first websites that had the album cover on it, and it had the track listing for In Your Dreams, and New Orleans was not on the track list, and it was a song that I heard about for years, and I was like, why isn't the New Orleans song on it? And it turns out there's like a Q&A with Dave Stewart. He's like, no, it's on the album. So did anyone else experience that, or am I the only one? All right. So
you're the only one.
The first time that she sang this song, she did a little a cappella of it during the Fleetwood Mac. Was it the Unleashed tour?
Oh, wow.
Where she was in New Orleans, and she said, I just wrote a song, and she actually sang the chorus of it, I believe. And this is when Stevie Nicks said she was never going to make another album. So I'm like, but what about the New Orleans song? Because, you know, she sang it at the Fleetwood Mac concert. And when this album came out, I was so happy to finally have the New Orleans song. And the version of this in the 24 Karat Gold tour just took my breath away live. It took my breath away in the movie theater. I love this song, even though I've never read an Anne Rice book. So what do you all think of New Orleans, the song? Okay, Ronnie.
Jeremy, you're correct that she did the a cappella version in New Orleans at the fairgrounds, because I was there.
Oh, you were there?
I'm not bragging. It was muddy. It was disgusting. It rained before.
That's awesome.
And
That's badass.
And
that's fucking badass, man.
It wasn't the Unleashed tour, because you're right. She did the album, but I think the Unleashed tour was before that, correct?
I kind of want to defer to Roland, because I know the answer, but I think Roland knows the answer, and I respect him as an oracle.
What's the question?
When she did this a cappella, it was a Fleetwood Mac show. I may have had the tour wrong, though.
It was at the one-off show.
Unleashed or the 2005-ish?
No, Ronnie's right. She did it in 13, but it was 09. It was at the New Orleans Arena. It was maybe in June, and she sang about vampires and stuff. But yeah, definitely it did happen in 13 on the Live 13 at the Jazz Fest when she swallowed the mosquito.
Yes.
And she did it in 12 at an ARP concert with Gladys Knight.
Okay. Because it was a big thing, like Lindsay didn't want her to do it or something, and, you know, something like that. And then she just kind of broke free on the stage outdoors at the fairgrounds and said, I'm going to do this. And Mick followed her with the tempo and whatever.
Cool.
Ronnie, did she do the whole song or just like a verse of it?
No, she just sang, I want to go down to New Orleans. I want to, what is it?
The chorus.
Traipse through the French Quarter, something like that.
Sing in the streets or something.
I want to sing in the streets of the French. I want to dress up. I want to wear beads.
That little snippet. That's it.
Okay.
So she did it on 2 different Fleetwood Mac tours, is what we're saying. Once before the album and then once after.
Yes, sir.
And this song was written with, what's his name? Neil Hayward. Is that his name? And he's one of Lindsey Buckingham's main collaborators, correct?
Yeah, he's part of that.
And I think he says, here we go at the beginning. If you listen, you can hear right before she says,
yeah. That's right.
There's a beginning. There's a beginning, right? There's a middle.
Yeah, that's true.
No, yeah. You can hear, here we go.
I always thought that was Waddy saying that for some reason.
Okay.
It was probably that they left in.
It's a great song. I agree with Jeremy. I don't read Anne Rice. I never read her, but how cool is it that she's in the song?
To me, it seems like name dropping. It's gratuitous.
Oh, and Anne Rice actually said thank you to Stevie Nicks for the name drop too.
Right on Twitter, right?
She was appreciative of the name drop.
All right, Jim, I cut you off. What were you saying?
Okay. This was written about the Katrina, and it, tore up. In that documentary, it was about, Katrina came in and there was a slow response to the government coming in and helping people out, and it was really a bad scene there, especially around the Superdome. She said there's like people being raped in the dark and
raped in the dark. A bad scene, to say the least.
I mean, it was pretty. It's glad we got the Cajun Army now. They'll take care of it. They really come in. A lot of private people come in after these hurricanes, right after the storm, and they come in there and they really rescue a lot of people now, and that's great. And Katrina taught us that, when everything gets wiped out, and you're alone, and you're, a lot of things can happen, and it's humid and hot, and oh my gosh, and you don't have real water. You don't have any water. It can perish pretty quickly. It's a very uplifting song about the repair of coming back from that. And in a football term, this is the kind of so later the Saints won the Super Bowl. There was so much energy in the city, just almost like a supernatural thing, where they just willed themselves to win the championship like 2 years after Katrina. There's a lot of spirit and tragedy and coming out of it. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
And this should have been released. This was released like 5-6 years after that happened. It's kind of like it fell on deaf ears. If it was like 1 or 2 years when it was still pretty fresh, it probably would have gotten a little bit more attention.
Yeah. Ronnie? And then Nathan.
Exactly what Jim said, and I believe that, we're the digital age. Had she released it as a single, I know that she would have put all the proceeds to New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And everything just Jim said. It's a beautiful song. It's a little repetitive, Anne Rice, I get the name dropping reference, but Anne Rice doesn't live in New Orleans anymore, and she didn't at the time. But everything Jim said, I agree with. Absolutely.
right, Nathan.
Just that, I would just add that one of the things that I dislike about Hollywood folk the most is how, I wrote a song. Oh, my heart broke and I wrote a song. And one of the things that I love about Stevie is that not only did she write a song, but for those who don't, I think I just read this. I didn't actually see a tax receipt or anything, but according to my readings, she also quietly donated $1 million in cold, hard Stevie Nicks cash to New Orleans or whatever little department was helping folks out down there. But I think that's really cool. And I also think it's kind of cool that people don't know about it very much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's that. I would like the song a hell of a lot more if she took out Anne Rice. And I have other complaints, but I
love
would
the Anne Rice
not
line.
focus on those. I really like what she does privately, philanthropically, quietly.
Yeah.
Jim.
So when did she donate the $1 million? Right after the hurricane or far later?
Right in the aftermath, not a long time later, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's something to learn. That's awesome. That's class.
Yeah.
When you learn years later, that's
yes,
class.
Jim, speak on it. That's class, baby. Yes. class.
You just go ahead and do something, and anonymously,
All right, John, I saw your hand. And then Roland.
Continuing about philanthropy and Stevie being involved in this, since when it actually happened, I actually had tickets to a benefit concert at Madison Square Garden. It was called From the Big Apple to the Big Easy, and she was supposed to be on the bill, and that's the only reason why I bought tickets for it. But she wound up withdrawing from it, so I still went to the show, but it was like Elton John, Jimmy Buffett, John Fogerty.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it because I was mad because she wasn't there.
John, you got some bad luck.
Yeah, I know. But she did, and this may be where that $1 million came from. She did the Today Show to raise money for Habitat for Humanity very soon after that concert. It was like in September of 2005. And the videos are on YouTube. I think she did Stand Back, Dreams, and Landslide. And then there's pictures of her with like a dog and Waddy. It's actually funny. Al Roker was like, "And what's your name again?" He's like, "Waddy." He's like, "Wachtel." So yeah, she was right, right when it happened. And as far as her not releasing it at the time, we kind of know why. I mean, she wasn't ready to she may have had this great poem, but she wasn't comfortable. I don't know who was telling her don't do new music, if that was Howard Kaufman or whoever it was, but
they're an asshole.
She had bad people around, and maybe still does. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, Roland, was your hand up?
Oh yeah. I love how the song ends. That lies the city goes da, 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 with the violin. That's
so
yes. Beautiful. And then it just flows so well into Moonlight.
This is one of my favorite. Oh, go ahead, Nathan.
I just want to. Does anyone have an issue with a lot of people? Well, I don't know about a lot of people. Some people would argue the pronunciation of words like city versus city. The city ghost versus the city ghost. And I just want to see what does the room think of that?
That rubs me wrong.
Okay, well, there's one who
Gypsy. Oh,
I didn't say anything about you, Steven. The city ghost versus the city ghost. Not to. It's not an inside joke, but there are those who have a problem with that, and there are those who think the song is still great. I'm sorry. I'm probably trying to create controversy where there isn't any for fun.
All right. Speaking of controversy, and this is so off topic, but we went from city to gypsy, so we're gonna do a little sidebar because I'm allowed to. Why the fuck in the 24 Karat Gold tour when Stevie's singing Gypsy, she goes, "Hey, hey, baby." Why does the crowd go crazy over that horrible, stupid ad lib? That is the worst thing ever, worse than cite or anything. She dubbed that in. She thought that was the best ad lib ever, and she dubbed that in. And it's not the best ad lib ever. Okay. I am so sorry. Maybe I'll edit that out. No, I won't. Okay, we have Roland and Alicia.
Yeah, that part in Gypsy just ridiculous. It's like the gypsy's driving by in her cab and she's waving, hey, baby, this is ridiculous. And I think maybe it's because they amped up the volume in the movie, so maybe it wasn't really there because I don't really remember it being there. But it's special effects for the movie.
The last time I said "Hey, baby" to someone, the crowd was certainly not cheering. Alicia.
Well, I'm going to go back to New Orleans. I love this song. This is probably my top 25 or something. To me, when I hear it, it's like it really does paint the picture of New Orleans in my mind. To me, Anne Rice kind of embodies the mysticism from the last 40 years with her writings and with the big oak trees and everything. So while she may not be there, it really does bring this to life. And I think I like the optimism with this song. I liked how, I know we were discussing with Street Angel when she was talking about, I guess, homeless people with that title track. And it was so cryptic, you didn't even really realize it.
Right.
But I feel like now she's coming back to talk about something more social. And it's positive. This isn't a sad song. They're going to get back together, and it may take some time. So there's.
Now, am I mistaken? Didn't she tell the story somewhere where she wrote an original poem that was so dark she just put it in the trash and then started over because she wanted to do something more uplifting? Am I remembering that correctly, Ronnie? You remember that? All right, Nathan.
Yes, I remember that too. And one of my favorite things to think about is, wouldn't you have loved to have been her garbage taker outer person on that day when she was crumpling shit up and throwing it in the wastebasket?
Oh, yeah.
Alicia, did you have more and I cut you off? I apologize.
Yes, thank you.
I think the only other thing I can think of is she kind of did that little bit of a falsetto there towards the end. I guess that's just unusual because she doesn't use that very often. And
right.
When? Which line? Which part?
I want to dress up.
Ooh, yeah. That's a relatable feeling. And some beads. Get some nice beads, as one does.
Ronnie.
I wanted to hear Alicia sing it.
Yeah, Alicia?
Yeah.
I was trying to think real quick which one it was. But yeah, I want to dress up. I want to wear beads. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a nice.
I'm sorry, I do not like that part, but I like the song. It's a good song.
You don't like the sparkly bridge?
Ooh, yeah.
I like that when the girl's like, "Whoa!" I think that's a nice climb. It's not my favorite part of the song, but I'll take it. It's not offensive.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I won't kick it. I won't kick it out of bed. If it's track 5 time in bed, I won't kick it out.
Moonlight.
Jeremy, maybe you were referring to the Space Needle song. If you're familiar with that, that's a very downbeat, kind of sad, depressing song. Do you familiar with that Space Needle?
Yep.
Maybe.
All right. Any thoughts? Okay, John.
I did want to just say you're right. On 24 Karat Gold, she said she wrote a dirge, her first version of New Orleans, and she threw it up and said that the song needed to be a celebration, for when New Orleans came back, that, it wouldn't just be a depressing song. And she wanted it to be a march, and I think it does. The song marches.
Now, when I saw the movie, I felt like this song stood up next to the classics. Because a lot of times, like when an artist will do like their newer songs next to something like Rhiannon or whatever. I don't even remember if Rhiannon was in the movie. But this song, I remember in the movie theater, like it felt as good as some of the classics. And that stands the testament of how good In Your Dreams and a lot of these songs are. Yeah.
Good, not great. Good, not great.
All right. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Moonlight.
So the legend
Yes,
is.
and yes, in fact. Yes, in fact.
Go ahead, Nathan.
I'd like to get a show of hands on this to see. We've all listened to the song, the New Orleans song, more than once. Have you all ever listened to it? And do you guys hear that little thing in the very beginning where somebody says to Dave Stewart something and he goes, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah," and then it cuts off? And then, do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, didn't John say that was?
1, 2, 3,
There's some talking
4.
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
It might
all.
be Waddy. I
Make
think
mention of that.
I think Jim said it was Waddy. I think it may be Waddy. Oh no, maybe it's not Neil.
It's a let's go. What?
Here we
Here
go.
we go. Here we go.
And it's a nice touch, even if it was or intentional. It's a nice touch. It might have been left in for just to add a little bit of rawness to the track.
Keep it in there. Just keep it in. Yeah, no, keep it in. It's good. Shit is real. Good point, Jim. I hadn't thought of that before. I always thought it was a mistake, and I thought they didn't make a mistake.
Well,
and that idea kind of undermined the whole thing, but maybe they left it in for cool points.
I think it's "Here We Go."
Yeah.
Or "Here We Go," really soft. You can barely hear it.
Alicia.
Well, when I watched the documentary on Sunday, it was saying that they tried to do it like record the part or the music and then put Stevie, and that didn't work. They were having trouble. Right. And so they ended up taking Stevie and Waddy, putting them in and doing it as a basic acoustic song. And then they built everything else around it and built it up.
I bet that's him saying the "Here We Go" kind of when they're just doing the acoustic. That's so awesome. I like that.
And because I thought that was really interesting. I didn't. And then the other thing that I didn't realize is you have Mick actually doing the drums.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's on a couple of these songs, which I thought was cool as well.
I thought Steve Ferrone was on the drums from Heartbreakers.
I think they have they did 2 or 3 different people. They had a tough time making this particular song and making it.
Good point.
Come to life.
All right, Ronnie.
That's a Lindsay song that you just said.
Yeah.
We owe John $5,000 here with the Steve Baritone on drums.
Blockbuster's coming up.
Well, I think it's hard to tell because, as Jim mentioned earlier, with the Stevie Nicks, the keys with Wild's whatever that name sargasso.
Right.
It's listed at the end who plays what, and Stevie is listed for keys.
Really?
On that, who really plays the drums on this song? We don't know because it's all listed at the end, right?
Right.
Unless your liner notes is different than mine. I don't have the extra picture, so I don't have the Barnes.
Only Roland's liner notes are different than yours.
Yeah, they probably are.
Roland, that I say it with love. That was a loving jab. Because your liner notes are always long.
Maybe it was a combination of both.
My liner notes look like this, all over the place. Are yours the same?
Christ. Dude, where did they... Oh, they merged them.
Yeah, I don't have the musician credits on mine.
Yes, Stevie played on this.
Yeah.
It might have been that track I talked about.
I think it was. That's all
Right.
I had.
That little woo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Right
Yes, that sounds right.
With the owls hooting. I appreciate that there was some owl representation on this album because on a lot of albums these days, you don't see representation for birds of the night, birds of prey. And on this album, you see representation for both in terms of the owl.
So now we're on Moonlight then, because you talked about an owl.
So the legend is that Stevie Nicks was, I believe, in Brisbane, Australia, watching the second Twilight movie. And she went to her piano and finished a song that she had started writing in the 80s, which was the demo Lady from the Mountains. And she put a chorus on it. And then she realized at that point that she had to make a new album because she needed to have other songs to go along with this new song. And I'd never watched the Twilight movies, but I'd like to thank them for resurgence of Stevie Nicks. I always loved the Lady from the Mountains demos. It was always one of my favorites. And the first time I saw it live, I just couldn't believe that I was hearing this song that I've loved for so many years from an artist that I never thought was going to make a new song again live. And it's just such a great song.
Yes.
I love the performance from 24 Karat Gold. If she didn't dedicate it to damn Prince, I'm still waiting for the version of that edited out because
I know I got to do that.
I love Prince, and I love Moonlight, and those two don't go together for me. And I don't need them together. I need them in separate. I need Prince to be before Stand Back, maybe, but not before my beloved Moonlight, A Vampire's Dream. So I love.
Well said, Jeremy. Well said. Your mouth, God's ears, baby.
And Nathan not raising his hand again, just interjecting. Thank you for that. May I continue? I guess I can.
Sorry. Yes, please continue. I'm sorry.
Thank you. It just stresses me out when we just don't have law and order at our podcast. All right.
Please continue. I'm sorry.
Now I lost my train of damn thought. Okay, I remember. I love the new lyrics that she wrote for the second verse that weren't in the original demo. And it was a demo that I always loved so much. And for her to, how many years later was it? 20, whatever. I don't feel like doing the math. But for her to come up with a second verse and a chorus that were just as good as the original lyrics just blew me away. So I love the song. It's really powerful. It's up there with all the epics. What do y'all think of Moonlight? John, and then Jim, and then Roland.
I'm going to be quick because I know this is a very beloved song. So I just want to say for myself, even though I've been a fan for a long time, I'm not a demo person, or I was not a demo or bootleg person. So I didn't know this about, I've heard Lady of Mountains, but I wouldn't go on and look for the demo.
Right.
So I remember the first time I heard this song, it was a week before the album came out because Rolling Stone did a stream. You could stream the whole album. And when this song started, I heard the video, I forgot what you called it.
The sizzle reel?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know, all I heard, the sizzle reel was just strange. It was like the drum and then strange. And then I heard this song, that piano started, and I probably had tears. It was like the most beautiful song I ever heard. And I'll never forget hearing it for the first time because of that too. I knew where I was. Just to keep it quick, I prefer the 2011, 2012. I like it more with drum and maybe the synth violin. 24 Karat Gold is nice, but I appreciate more of the band in the song than just the piano, her and the ladies. Thank you.
I didn't feel like the live version from the In Your Dreams tour had the energy from the album.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I love the album version, but the rock version live just felt a little limp to me. How did everyone else?
It's a different song.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's like the Two Planets of the Universe. The demo is beautiful. It's a nice little ballad. Then you got the nice dance song, but they're two different songs.
Sure.
You don't have to be like one cancels the other out.
Do you like this song, Steven?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I would like because of the teaser and the little strange part they played, I wish that was its own fast song. Just the chorus and not Lady from the Mountain.
Weren't you surprised that chorus was Lady of the Mountain? Like, I was really surprised.
Yeah. And I wasn't familiar with the demo either, so I didn't know Lady from the Mountain too well before this song. And I do love this song. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about everything. But
I remember someone in a message board.
Oh, I do.
Go ahead.
Someone in a message board was saying that Stevie Nicks ripped off Sweet Child of Mine with the beginning. And someone was very quick to point out that Lady from the Mountain was written many years before Sweet Child of Mine.
That's a stretch, too.
Yeah, that's a stretch. I just thought it was a stupid thing for someone to say. All right, I lost track of whose hands. Jim, and then Roland.
Yes, it's great in every way. It's amazing. It's first and foremost, this song was pretty much the linchpin to getting this started. Like Stevie was Moonlight in Australia. She went and wrote something that added to Lady from the Mountain, and I've known I've heard that demo a lot. it's kind of like the chain. The chain was kind of languishing in bits and pieces. Stevie wrote, I think that was a Buckingham Nicks demo, a piece there, and this was something like that, and it was a piece added later, and it is very epic, and it really builds at the end. One of the best things Stevie has ever done, and probably one of the best things anyone has really ever done. It's a really good
Anybody
piece.
ever.
Yeah, it's a great piece of work at someone that age to do that. And, you know, it takes a lot to get a group of musicians together and be on the same page and just put in a piece of work like that.
Jeremy, could I ask a couple of rapid fire questions of our dear friend Jim? Jim, so when you're thinking about the song Moonlight, A Vampire's Dream, these are my parentheses. What do you think? Do you think they should have kept it as two songs separate or one song together like they did? What do you think? You can only choose one.
Oh, you're talking about the Lady from the Mountain, and then
two songs or one?
I'm kind of attached to that Lady from the Mountain and adding, you know, was that a full-on song? I think it was.
In a demo form, yeah.
And when you think of the 24 karat gold recording, do you think that, what do you feel about the line, "This is for Prince"? Yes or no? Keep it in, cut it out?
I pass.
Cut it out?
We all agree I'd cut that out, right?
I think we all agree. All right.
Yeah.
She did versions like 4 years ago live. She really reworked it recently. And where she goes at the end and slows down. It's really very epic.
Yeah.
There's the old way she did it live, and there's like the new way, and they're both great. I mean, it's really amazing. She can rework her own material. I mean, Sisters of the Moon been reworked so many times, and it's always great.
All right, Ronnie,
if you're going to play the old song in a concert, especially with how our voices change, the song should be reworked.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's something new. Yeah. Sorry, I butt in.
No, fine, because I can't unmute myself. This is a great song. Everybody knows that. I listen to it. I like it. I love it. As Jim said, it's epic. I'm kind of embarrassed that she had that writer's block, that she had to watch this movie with that. I had to look up the actress's name, Kristen Stewart.
That didn't age well, did it?
No. So I'm kind of embarrassed of the fact that she had to watch these movies to be inspired.
Hey,
she did, because it's a great album. It's a great song. But yeah, Moonlight, it's better on the album than live. That's all I have to say.
Were reasonably good movies. I want to, you know.
What, Nathan? What? Are you ready?
I thought they were good movies. I just don't want people to think that. I mean, good points, Ronnie. Good points. But it's like, I don't want people to think that I'm down on the Twilight movies, because those are some great pieces of cinematic art.
They probably are. I've never seen them.
Yeah, I've never seen them. Roland, I saw your hand was up.
I'm with John. I wasn't that impressed with the demos because it sounded kind of like her other piano songs, like I Sing for the Things, where it's the same whatever. Mm-hmm. But when the album came out with this song, I mean, it's become one of my favorites of her songs ever, along with Sarah, Nightbird, and If Anyone Falls, etc., etc. And like Jeremy, I thought that the In Your Dreams tour versions were okay, which I saw twice. And, you know, she did the songs, it was okay. But when I saw it in Seattle for the 24 karat gold, when she came out with the fur coat and then the video, the wolves in the bag and the whole atmosphere, I mean, I was struck. I had tears in my eyes, and I never do, even for Stevie Nicks. But I wept during the end where she sang that very emotive part, you know, how she finished off the song. That was great. That was a great performance. Yeah. So she really sold the song. I mean, she's always afraid of doing new material, but if she really put in a great performance, and people who are not cognizant of the song will like it and love it. That's what I think.
That's her magic.
And to get such a great performance of a new song from someone this late in their career is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, you
and I wish she did that for going back to Planets of the Universe. When she did that for the Trouble in Shangri-La tour, it was okay, but it wasn't fantastic. And she never did the song again ever, which was unfortunate, because if she really sold the song, the fans would have loved it, and it might have been a staple in her set after that. So,
what if she gave Planets the Moonlight treatment and did like a more stripped down piano version that was closer to the original demo?
I'd be into that, because that's what.
And we really have to thank her for this song, because this song created a whole album. She said that if it wasn't for the song and having to make a whole album around it, she would not have released an album. So thank you, Moonlight.
Let's have a moment to appreciate
Moonlight. Thank you, Moonlight.
Jeremy, she said that this is her favorite song she's ever written.
For good reason, too.
She's always saying that about any song.
Aren't we all in America?
Yeah.
Well, I have some comments to make when we turn this recording off. It's good to be in America, baby. It's like, I'm just thinking of the hotel room. Wasn't that in Brisbane?
Yes.
Brisbane? How do you say the name of that?
Brisbane?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool to book a cheap room at that hotel and get upgraded to the suite that she wrote Moonlight
the Moonlight room?
And then she called her assistant and she said,
the Italian
and there changed history, and then the world stopped, you know? So wouldn't it be cool to stay at that hotel? Does anyone know what hotel that was?
No.
Do you? John does. He's going to tell us off camera.
It's really an illness. It's an illness to know all these things.
I love it.
I think it was the Crown Plaza in Brisbane. It's all in the press. You know, this is where you get it from. I don't know Karen or anything like that.
You don't know the suite number?
All right. Alicia, was your hand up?
Oh, it was. I don't remember. I like the 24 karat version when she did it live, just because she really did build it up. And I'm glad that we have the live version, because that demo is different to this. And it makes me wonder, it would have been interesting to see if she kept this, because the recording is kind of slow and then it kind of drops with the strange. I wonder if she would have kept it slow and kept it going all the way through, if that would have worked.
Right.
I know I listened to the demo a couple of times. It's not like one of my favorites, but I know it was much more of a slow tempo song compared to this one, where it kind of has that rock edge when she starts the strange stanza. So I wonder if she did it all the way through slow, or if she did all the way through kind of like a rock sort of song, if it would have worked. I don't know. This is a song that got played quite a good bit, but it's interesting how she's been able to recreate her songs. And I think that's what makes me have to go out and buy like every record and go look at the bootlegs and things, because it's just interesting how she can take lyrics or an idea and then change them up. And since we've been talking planets, I mean, you have that slow version from the 70s with Rumors, and then you have kind of like this, I don't want to say disco, it's kind of the 2000s club sound. So it's very interesting how she does that.
And not to be a nerd, but wasn't there a verse of Lady from the Mountain that was left off Moonlight? There's a whole section like, tell her that you love her.
Yeah.
You say that you're a dreamer. I love them both. Yes. The thing I liked about Lady of the Mountain is that 1985 chorusy guitar sound. So any other thoughts on Moonlight?
Wish we would have got mixes.
I know.
I really missed this album. Like,
where's Deep Dish? We need Deep Dish.
Yes.
Or Tracy Young.
Tracy Young. I'll even sell for Junior
This song
Vasquez.
this song got me into watching the movies even.
Yeah, I didn't.
Actually, Jeremy, if I could just jump on that, the movie. I said I would never like watch the Twilight movies, but when I had COVID, I sat down and watched it, and actually the scene that, thank God for this scene, when Bella sits on a chair for months just staring, and the seasons they go around the chair, so you see Bella's front, and then they go around. It's one season, then turn around, and it's another season. And that's when I think Stevie said she would like maybe the connection to Aspen, maybe like sitting waiting for Lindsay or something like that. But it really, when I watched that movie, I was like, oh my God.
Is it a beautiful scene? And you know, there's been times in my life where I just sat in a chair for months just waiting for someone to.
I'm sorry. I so apologize to the group. Which movie? What's the title of the film really quickly?
Is it New Moon?
Yeah.
Okay, we're
the
talking
second
about
Twilight.
New Moon, the sequel. I got you.
Okay. Any other thoughts on Moonlight, A Vampire's Dream? All right. Well, track number 7.
I'd rather read the book than watch the movie with Kristen Stewart. Sorry.
Next is a song that was demoed for Trouble in Shangri-La. It was one of the first things she wrote when she was young, correct? She put an Edgar Allan Poe poem to music. I believe that the bridge that Waddy Wachtel wrote was added. That was not in the original demo version. So that was the contribution on the In Your Dreams version. It does kind of repeat a lot at the end. But I think the chorus of Annabel Lee is a classic Stevie Nicks chorus. Like, it's just so good. Poe and Nicks together, I do think it was magic. I think this is a Poe, Nicks, Dave Stewart, everybody. It's just, I don't know. How do you guys feel about this song? I love it.
Yeah.
Good song.
Great song.
Good song.
So Alicia, you read some Poe after listening to this album?
Maybe a couple.
Okay.
To me, Poe is a little bit more of a downer, way down than I particularly like. But
totally a downer, right? Poe's totally he's not what you want to hear.
He's a drunk, wasn't he?
Keep it light. Let's keep it light.
He's a very, very much dark. But
Dark.
I know I read Wide Sea Goes Sea, and then I also picked up Anne Rice.
Okay.
And I did watch a couple of the movies from the Twilight. I could never stomach reading the books. And that's a series I just never could really get into. But I do like this. For her to pick up Poe, and I think this is probably one of his better things, and it's just great, and it fits with her. And it's funny that you're asking, because she picked up a lot of Victorian goth literature for this album as well.
Right.
So yeah, I like this song. It meshes, which is really interesting. Everything that she's got here, and they're all variety. Some of it's a little more country, some of it's kind of a this song reminds me of kind of her 80s I Sing for the Things, but more.
Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up question to Alicia very quickly?
Okay.
Alicia, have you ever taken this song out on CD and listened to it by the ocean, in a kingdom by the sea?
No.
Okay, that's my question.
No, I'm more of a mountains person. But
That's on her bucket list. I can hear it.
Well, I have. No.
I feel this song, I don't have too much to say about it. It's just, everything's right about it to me. It's right. It feels right. Moon never, like I can hit the gas pedal and sing along to that chorus and be driving and feel good. John.
So I pulled out my very disappointing Rolling Stone review where they basically say the album is great, but they give her 3.5 stars.
Yeah, really?
But it's funny that I just jumped in as you said, Jeremy. It sounds right. It says Poe's key line.
They didn't like me either.
The moon never beams without bringing me dreams, just like you were saying, Jeremy. Might have been written in 1849, but it was clearly meant for Stevie Nicks to sing. And their 3 key tracks are Secret Love, Italian Summer, and Annabel Lee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on Annabel Lee? Jim.
Good song.
Me? Okay.
Fake news, baby. Fake news, John.
Now they kiss her ass, Rolling Stone, but back then they didn't.
Jim.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, it's a poem that fits Stevie just perfectly.
Yeah.
It's just like it was almost like she wrote it, and she made it her song, and I think it's every bit as good as Gypsy. It's different, but it's really a great effort. It's the ultimate romantic, tragic song. I love that little Waddy interlude we talked about, and it's not too long for me at the end. I mean, I hear rumbles on the ledge or somewhere where that end just never stops. It goes over and over. It could make it another minute for me. It's just like
that's okay. The bitching on the ledge never stops either, so we'll call it even.
I'll take another 45 or 60 or however many more you got there.
I'll take another minute of that because the instrumentation and the mixing and bringing levels up and her voice up in that at the end is pretty good work. They could have done it for another minute.
Yeah, and I say that with love because if it wasn't for the ledge, I probably wouldn't have met a lot of y'all. So much love to the ledge. John, your hand is up.
Sorry, Jim made me remember because of the interlude. And Roland, you'll remember this, how when she did it live after the Wiltern, she cut out the third verse. So after they coveted Her and Me, she go to the chorus and then go to the anyway. So she shortened the song, and Edge got shortened too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
I'm sorry. And a little piece of my heart died that day, John. Good points. Very interesting.
Roland.
Yeah, this song was at the first couple of shows of the 24 Karat tour, except then she dropped it for some reason. Too bad.
Yeah.
John, quickly, did Rolling Stone like Moonlight? Or did they even mention it at all?
What they would mention back then was just about Twilight. But let's see.
Rolling Stone never liked her.
Nick's finds storytelling inspiration everywhere from the Twilight series, Moonlight, A Vampire Zine, to Jean RHYS, is that Reese? Wide Sargasso Sea. But the real showstopper is Annabel Lee. So Moonlight's just in passing, not really praising.
I have Ronnie and then Steven.
I don't have a lot to say about the song. I love the song. I actually like his poetry. How much royalty did she pay to get these rights? Because this goes back to like the 70s where she wanted to record the song. I'm just curious how she paid the royalties into this. Obviously, Fleetwood Mac afforded her that, but to copy someone else's work who's dead.
Things become open source after a while, don't they?
Public domain.
Public domain.
Yeah, correct.
Public domain.
Jeremy and Roland understands that. I obviously didn't.
It's like if you set a song to Shakespeare, you don't pay anybody. Not even Shakespeare.
I think there's a 60.
Like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Ronnie,
the only reason I know this shit is from having to deal with copyrights. But I don't know the exact number, but I think it's like after 60 or 80 years, everything becomes public domain.
Something like that.
Wow.
Does that hold for songwriters as well?
Yep.
Interesting.
Unless your estate renews it or your heirs. If you have any heirs or estate, if they renew it, if not, it's up for grabs.
No Mabel Norman's estate.
Roland.
I got one.
Michael Jackson and Prince, and the Beatles, who somebody owns those rights.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not word for word Annabel Lee, right? It doesn't exactly match all of Annabel Lee. She took a little play with it, right?
She took some liberty.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
That makes sense.
No, I think it says, if you look at the liner notes, Ronnie, I think it says like inspired by or something like that.
Well, there is. I don't think there's any doubt, because she said as much in interviews, Jim Ladden's and whatever else, that Waddy wrote the bridge, that little instrumental part.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
And that's common knowledge, right? That Waddy wrote that. So there's no question that it's completely a Edgar Allan Poe composition, because Waddy wrote the bridge. But that's the only thing I know that would be specific to our people.
So if anybody gets any
Germane
money
to our
Steve,
conversation.
what do you want to tell
know what I'm
Rick?
saying?
Steven, did you have your hand up?
Yes.
Hey, man.
I have two questions for the group. I wanted to borrow Nathan's format here on the first question. Now, on the live video that just came out of the concert tour, would you guys prefer Annabel Lee over New Orleans, or the other way around?
Don't be an ingrate. We love it as it is.
Oh, flip them.
Okay, you guys would all take New Orleans over Annabel Lee?
I was just saying.
I would.
Annabel Lee.
I'm curious. I would take Annabel Lee too.
What are we talking about again?
Which live version we liked better, Annabel Lee or New Orleans? I'd say New Orleans.
Oh, I think Annabelle much.
And I also wanted to ask the group if anyone has checked out any of the other Annabel Lee songs on YouTube, because a lot of people are taking the poem and writing their own songs to it as well.
I have not.
There's plenty. They're ghastly, but there's some people watching. But I mean, they're all just as lovely in their own way.
Okay. Alicia, was your hand up?
Yeah, well, I was just kind of thinking through the lyrics of some of these songs, and I thought it was interesting as you're listening to the storytelling songs. She used vampires. I think this is the only album that she had that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I thought that was new that she brought that to it. She's always used the moon, but Moonlight seems that's in Annabelle, and then of course Moonlight the song. I thought that was interesting how they're both kind of the symbolism. It kind of is. It's the same with these songs that are side by side.
The Edgar Allan Poe stuff maybe hangs well with Sisters of the Moon type of a thing.
Yes, yes. It made me also wonder, or I'm just sitting here at the moment wondering how that she kind of was setting up her own little, you know, how she uses her symbolism,
Mm-hmm.
and how she's trying to connect, and how you sometimes have something that's a little bit different for each album. I was kind of wondering if that's what something like vampires is for this.
I did love the vampires, the owls, the steam coming off the pool. There's just like a lot of really
I
don't know, mystical imagery, just darker.
Not bad for a home movie.
Not bad, right?
And also another clap along I'm sorry, Ronnie, but another clap along at the end. I lie down.
Yeah.
Right? I was the only guy doing that at the show.
Ronnie.
No, I didn't really have anything.
Oh, there was me, John. Don't forget there was me.
I didn't have anything to add, but I totally agree with Alicia. The whole vampire with the four song arc, you know, with what is it, the other side of the mirror?
Yeah.
It was the ghost and the spirits and this, that, and other. And with this, it's definitely the vampires and the owls. Yeah, completely.
And I love how this is the second time that's been brought up that this arc is comparable to the other side of the mirror one. I love that.
Yeah, I got that feel kind of like through the whole album as I listened to it the first few times. That's all I had to add.
It's like a mini 4-song suite kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. And when did she do the American Horror Story? Was that a few years later? I remember seeing it. I just don't remember the timeline. That was a couple years.
Yeah, it's a little bit later.
Was that later or prior?
Later.
8 years later.
8? Wow.
Oh,
Quite a while.
I think
Maybe
it was
not.
2 actually. It was when John McVie had cancer, so they canceled that Australian tour.
Okay.
Was it?
He had time, and they filmed it in 13. I remember.
13?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow. I'm old.
All right. Do we have any other thoughts on Annabel Lee before we take a little break here? I'm gonna go pour some sangria for myself. Wide sangria seat. All right. Let me pause this. All right. We are back to talk about side 2 of In Your Dreams, Stevie Nicks. We talked about the first 7 songs for about 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Sounds like we're making good time.
We're making good time.
As compared to usual.
We spent an hour on Secret Love.
Yeah. It's all good. So if you went to, I believe it was Barnes and Noble, maybe it was Best Buy. I could be wrong. But I think it was Barnes and Noble. If you bought In Your Dreams, which had a slipcase, which was really cool.
Cool.
It had a bonus track that wasn't on the other versions, which was a song originally recorded for Trouble in Shangri-La, but it was given the verses were given a new arrangement, but the chorus was the same, My Heart. So we talked about this on the last podcast. It seemed like most people liked the Trouble in Shangri-La version better. I like the In Your Dreams version better. So let's take a vote. Who votes Trouble in Shangri-La version? We have 3.
Nathan does too.
Nathan, we have 4. I like his hand in it. Who votes In Your Dreams version?
You guys, that's terrible. It's not even a contest.
I just think that melody is so weird in the Trouble in Shangri-La. I like the. I don't know. I feel like it's just like classic Stevie Nicks, the In Your Dreams version. Ronnie.
So wait, is this? I mean, I've heard the version on the In Your Dreams or documentary or whatever it's called.
Right.
That's the In Your Dreams version. So
Right.
what's the original version, the reggae tropical version?
No, that was If You Were My Love.
Yeah, I like the one that's In Your Dreams documentary.
Yeah, the Trouble in Shangri-La version was kind of similar. It just had totally different music in the verses, which I felt like it just kind of rambled. But Steven, I'm curious, what did you like about the Trouble in Shangri-La version?
What did I like about it? I
Yeah.
just think it's the better of the 2. Like the second one, I think it's, sorry guys, I think it's garbage. Garbage.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would give that song an F. The way
Oh.
it ended up on the remake.
Oh.
Yeah. F.
Oh. I give it an.
Sorry,
No,
like,
he
it's
didn't.
very-
No, he
It's just
didn't.
a fragment of a song. There's not even a whole song there. It's just like she chopped her verses in half and just sang parts of them, and it makes no sense. Terrible.
John, your hand is up.
I don't think she actually took out any of the verses. I think the only word change is she doesn't use the word shadows or windows in the album version. I like this. I think it moves better. The demo, I think, starts out just with a chord again, and you don't even get the until the chorus, whereas the starts off the album version. So I like it.
This was a Mike Campbell track, right? That she wrote lyrics to?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't even listen to it. I'm jealous. You guys love it. Wow.
I put the verse of the original My Heart, I put up there with the Other Side of the Mirror demos. Like a hard pass for me.
It was a rough vocal on the original. There's some weird sounding takes in that. But
Well, everything's subjective. Alicia.
Well, I like the album version just because it's the demo. It was all her cryptic stuff put together, or that's how I remember it. Whereas the album version, she really kind of organized her thoughts and kind of explained it's like going into a room and how everything kind of stops and how she does still. So to me, it's she's going back to that storytelling. So I feel like that's why the album version is a little bit better. And then of course it's much more fleshed out, but you know, that's what you're going to get between a demo versus an album. But
Right.
Is there a demo version?
I've
heard 2 finished versions. I
No,
don't
it's-
know of a demo version.
I think she means the outtake, the Trouble in Shangri-La outtake.
Yeah, the Trouble in Shangri-La outtake. To me, it always sounds like a demo. It's just very, very scaled back. It's very basic.
It's slow too, right, Alicia? Like
Yes.
the beginning is a lot slower.
Yes.
It's like she's struggling to get her word out. Shadow.
Why do you think this was a bonus track of all of them? Well, because Steven doesn't like it, so that's why.
Yeah.
I think this is just as strong. I think it's perfect after Annabel Lee. Roland.
The bonus track should have been Cheaper Than Free.
Now, I disagree. I feel like the outtake could have been Cheaper Than Free. But
I love the song because the lyrics are so straightforward, simple. There's no cliches like gypsy and dreams and moon and dove, you know, all those kind of words that she likes to use sometimes, which hampers a song. I mean, when she writes very straightforward lyrics like in Leather and Lace and That's All Right, the song works and it's just, you know, simple, straightforward, and it's great.
So does anybody have that person who makes your heart stop when they walk in the room? I haven't had that for many years, unfortunately.
Great song. Great song.
I missed that in music.
So here's my question, because I kind of found this interesting. They put the bonus track in the middle. Usually other albums, they do the bonus track and they like attach it to the last song or after the standard version. So I always kind of wondered why they did that way.
It's like 24 Karat Gold. The deluxe version has a completely different track list, like it's completely different arrangement. It's so strange. That's not the norm.
No, so it makes me wonder why they put it there. Is it to kind of go with that like little mini suite of storytelling songs? Right. They thought that would work better, or
Madonna did that on Madam X. She put her bonus tracks like in the middle of the album. It's weird when people do it.
I'm not gonna do 24. Oh wait, Ronnie, did you wanna? No. Okay. I have a problem with 24 Karat Gold because Steven probably likes this. There's 2 running orders. I don't like that. It's a total different thing. The standard album and the deluxe version. It's 2 different albums.
Well, the standard one doesn't even exist to me, so we're talking about the deluxe version.
Yeah.
Next month. So, John, you're not going to do 24 Karat Gold?
Because it's not like an album. Like when you're changing the track order completely like that. To me, it's really just songs from the vault. This is an album.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ronnie.
No, it's completely an album. And I did not, I listened to Watch Chain and what was the other song? Watch Chain and.
Oh my God.
That was it. I think that was it.
There was 2, wasn't it?
2.
Twisted.
Twisted. Yep. Twisted.
Which she recorded like 3 or 4 fucking times.
Yeah.
Why?
I still hasn't got it right.
I'm like, you know what? I should have gotten that. I should have gotten that album because Watch Chain is good and Twisted is always good.
See, I do like that version of Twisted.
But you know, my disagreement with Mr. John there is, I agree that it's a totally different album with it. You know how the set list is presented.
Sure,
I agree it's totally different, but you know, I already had those songs, so why buy another additional copy? So it's like whatever.
No, we're jumping ahead, but it definitely feels like an album to me. I love that album. So
I'm indifferent, and I heard somebody mention The Dealer earlier, Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy did. Yeah.
You don't like it, but that's okay.
I love the dealer. I actually love
the dealer.
I love the version on 24 Karat. I just feel like her vocals are a little shouty, but I like it.
Well, yeah, that's Stevie now.
Okay, Roland and then Chris.
Yes, jumping ahead to that album, we bought the ones with the extra 2 tracks to get that little booklet with all the nice photos.
Yes, I have the book. Chris.
Oh, Ronnie, you said that you already had those 2 tracks, but did you have them in those particular versions? Because 24 Karat, she re-recorded them, correct? So you...
Yeah, she probably did. But
You
what
meaning
I
you-
mean by is I had those tracks as I listened to them online on YouTube.
Okay.
And I could download them if I wanted, but I didn't because I had Twisted 100 million times.
She does
And
give
when
a
you
new
say-
line. There's a new line in that version.
And when you say she's shouty, define shouty.
I don't think I said she was shouty, but I believe she is shouty.
And end of Moonlight 24 Karat Gold Tour is shouty.
Okay, here's the demo of the dealer. It was dark out and I held the cards. Here's the version. But I held the card. It's just like right at the top of her range. But I still love it. Okay, do we have any other thoughts on My Heart? I know it's a bonus track, but I guess yeah, Alicia.
Oh no, sorry.
Say you like it.
Mhm.
You're fine.
So next, Mr. Buckingham shows up. Stevie Nicks goes. It's the Walter Reed Hospital, correct, where she visits wounded soldiers. A beautiful thing that she does. She gave him all, I guess at the time, Discmans, correct? No, she gave him iPods.
Yeah.
With music on them, which is so cool. And she tried to record Soldier's Angel, and it didn't work out. So she said the only person that could do it was Lindsey Buckingham. So he came to the studio, played the chain on guitar, and she sang Soldier's Angel over it. What do you all think of Soldier's Angel?
Okay.
Steven.
I think it's the best the two have sounded together in years.
Okay.
Like their voices blended really well on it. The song is all right, but I thought they sounded really good.
Yeah. Alicia.
I think this may be the emotional heart for this record. Maybe this in New Orleans. When I was watching the documentary, I got teary-eyed watching the section about this. And when I was listening to the Jim Lane interview, this brought tears to my eyes. Her explaining the story of her, what inspired her to write the lyrics. And she was saying that she had the verses when she first went to Walter Reed back in like 05 or 06, somewhere in there. But it wasn't until like 2010 when there was a couple British soldiers who got massacred out in Iraq, Afghanistan, and that's what brought about the chorus. She couldn't figure out how to write the chorus. And it's interesting because the chorus, to me, goes back to the Battle of the Dragon with...
Okay. No one walks away from this battle?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Love that song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
I think that's interesting because we were talking about the Battle of the Dragon being about her drug addiction, and that's kind of her personal battle that she really had to fight.
Right.
So I think that's interesting how she kind of linked them together with that.
So if everyone had to vote, Street Angel, Desert Angel, or Soldier's Angel, or Angel.
Oh, wow. It's a lot of them.
That's hard.
Angel.
That's really hard.
Sleeping Angel. Sleeping Angel.
Oh, Sleeping Angels at the top.
Sleeping Angel. Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
There's a lot of angels.
No more Angel songs. Please.
Never mind how often she uses the word angel in a song that isn't named Angel.
John.
Touched by an Angel.
Touched by an Angel.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
I don't think that this is. It's not. I don't think it's the worst song on the album, but it's like when I was like trying to play this song to friends and family, this would be like the one that I would have to skip, because like I just didn't think people had the patience for it. And I think that I wish Stevie would have sung the harmony with herself instead of Lindsay, because I think Lindsay I like Stevie harmonizing with herself, but I thought he was too high, and it had that whisper thing that he does that in the studio. And I said during our break, I thought Wiltern acoustic guitar was much better than the electric. I really would love to hear the demo, so I know just how like sacred and that this what it sounded like. And was it just her on piano, or was another instrument used?
I didn't feel like, because he laid out a lot of harmony, so it kind of got a little overwhelming for me. Ronnie.
Well, what's the words I'm going to use? I mean, I respect your opinion, John, but I disagree. It's the classical Stevie Lindsay arrangement, and again, I think she used him differently. She used him for the arrangement for this song, but she should have used him a couple other songs as well, In Your Dreams or whatever. That's all I have to say. I just respectfully disagree.
That's the beautiful thing about music. As I always say, there's no right or wrong. Except on, don't fight me on maybe Love Will Change Your Mind, because that's my jam. Okay.
That's my jam.
I think we have Jim and then Roland.
Okay. This is a very important song. It's very raw, and it's very real. It's about, her visits to Walter Reed and pretty much broken men that have kind of pulled up, and she decided to do that, which is honorable. Mick Fleetwood did some visits too, and she came up, I think it's when there was a bunch of ambulances coming in when she was leaving one time, and she's thinking, oh no, there's another group coming, and then it inspired her. It kind of made her angry that we're in these endless wars. We're finally getting out of Afghanistan. I hope that plays out where, we're not attacked like 9/11 again.
Oh God!
But
yeah,
that 20 years doing that, and wasting lives and treasure and everything. It has a very fucking feel. I listened to it tonight, and I didn't realize Lindsay was really he was fairly prominent in the vocal in this. And it's a lot of the nuances of Say You Will on this. On that track. They were fighting then. That documentary, I can't remember what the name of it is.
Destiny Rules.
Yeah, Destiny Rules. There's a lot of bickering there, and okay. There's a great live version if you guys ever look it up. It's the Buffalo Chip one in South Dakota where the wind's blowing.
Oh, that's iconic. It's so good.
And it was only windy during that one song.
And I was looking for that. There was also a video of Love Is where there's a thunderstorm coming and her hair is going all wild. Did you guys ever see that live video? No. I never saw it till after our last podcast.
I'd like to see that one. That sounds good.
Yeah, look up Love Is Live, and it's much like the Soldier's Angel one. It's just, you can hear the thunder. It's just beautiful.
Now, where's that at and when the Love Is?
I'm not sure. I just looked it up on a fluke after our last podcast, so I might have to dig around a little.
You just wrote Stevie Nicks' Love Is Live and then go.
Yeah. The that one, and it was crazy epic. And I'm from there, and I understand the weather patterns there. It's like when a thunderstorm comes down, barreling down from the northwest in that part of the country, there's a lot of wind with it. And if it misses to the north, it doesn't hit you with the rain. But the dust kicked up, and she postponed her show about 4 days later, and we were down there in a hotel waiting for it, and it was postponed for 2 days, and we hung for another couple days and went to her Atlanta show. So I'm really sure it was the dust. You know, just the littlest things will get Stevie irritated. You know, I think she did about 4 songs there, and then she went right to Houston the next day, and I think she canceled or she postponed the Atlanta show. And
John had tickets.
That was incredible, where the wind that was dimbled down, and there was people trying to hold things down. The pro shot doesn't pick up what it is on the amateur shots from the side, and things going all haywire. And their security person was off to the side and ready to grab her if stuff was starting to, you know, fall down. And it was, and then like a few days later, there was a terrible accident with a windstorm in the Midwest that killed some people at a show. So, you know.
Wow. I do think that's one of her most iconic performances, right up there with like.
And she stood there, and did it, and it didn't blink an eye. And she portrayed it, and you know, it's like a warrior in South Dakota, where I'm from, and the wind just comes up there like crazy, and you just go out there and do it. You know,
that's our Stevie, right?
Yeah,
that's what she's made of.
And Jim, that's the buffalo chip version, but the amateur, not the pro shot.
Yeah, the amateur. There's some off to the side, and you hear the wind on the mic that kind of adds to the nuances. The pro shot's pretty good. They show where people were holding down some tarping for some reason, and there was the back side of it of the stage. I think they let something drop down because they're worried about it doing something, tearing something down.
Wow.
They're trying to let the wind go through there. Look at all versions of that. It's incredible. Yeah, I think she did Rhiannon and can't remember. There's some.
You know, Landslide was in the set, Jim. Come on.
Of course. And probably Stand Back.
It was no stand. This was at a biker rally, and before she started singing, they were. I mean, they were on their bikes in the audience, and they're running their throttles, vroom vroom, and that's kind of a thing, a biker language where they see a pretty girl and they do that. That's what's so cool about that. They're doing that when Stevie was about ready to come out or just appearing, and they just turned up the throttles, or in between songs they did that. It was incredible.
Do we have any other thoughts on Soldier's Angel before we move on? Chris?
I can't find any research on this, but for some reason, when I hear that song, it sticks out production wise. Like I want to believe that it was recorded at Lindsay's house, because it has this really upfront vocal delivery and almost demo quality. Yeah. I love his raw tone. I love hearing their voices again. Like you said, Stephen, it's like just so refreshing to hear them again. Because if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time they've recorded since Say You Will, and they haven't ever again, correct?
Yeah.
They did extended play.
It's hard for them to
blend.
I
don't have those 3 songs. Was that after this?
Yeah, it was, right?
But they were recorded also after this as well?
Yeah.
And Stevie actually has a song on there?
I call this, an EP. It's an EP, and I call it Without Stevie, because Stevie just basically does a lot, just some background stuff mainly. Or I call it Without Stevie.
They might have just flown her in like they did on Tango. She might not have been involved.
On the ledge, and I said that on the ledge, and I caught a little flack, but there was a lot of people who agreed with me too. That was a good little day.
I think she went to Lindsay's house and did the vocals all in the day over at Lindsay's house, if I remember correctly. And she does sing lead on an old Buckingham Nicks demo, Without You, right? What's the song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. It's a nice little EP.
They both sing lead, I think, Jeremy, on Without.
Yeah, they harmonize too. Yeah, you're right. All right, so the next song on the album was the first taste we had of this album, because Dave Stewart, I believe, put a little bit on Twitter. It's Everybody Loves You. And speaking of Not Make Believe, aren't some of the lyrics from Not Make Believe in Everybody Loves You?
little bit.
Sometimes it was heavenly, sometimes it was so heavy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everybody Loves You. I like a little electro beginning because that kind of takes me back to the early Eurythmics albums. And then it kind of goes a little, maybe adult contemporary.
Yeah.
This isn't one of my favorite songs
It's a
on the
nice
album.
song.
You like this song?
It's a good song.
It's not as AC as the lead track.
Secret Love.
Yeah, that's really adult contemporary.
Yeah. At least it's catchy though.
Yeah, this is more like a nod to the 80s.
All right, John. Then Ronnie.
Oh, he's mad. You go, Ronnie.
John, go ahead, sir.
Oh!
No, he seems angry.
No, we're doing John, then Ronnie, then Roland. That's the lineup.
Okay. So this, I think, was the beginning of Stevie doing the I can't.
Yes,
right?
yes. She's an accent sponge.
That's terrible.
But it was first debuted to us with Secret Love, because she would say, I can't go be in that room alone, but the recording is on here.
Is it because David Stewart's English? Do you think she
yeah.
got it from David?
He tries to match it, you know. But I was just gonna say this song, I actually kind of, I know she says it's Dave about Annie. Is that Ronnie okay?
No, keep going. I want to hear your opinion, sir.
Okay.
I
love
hear
this.
Everything.
I love the drama. I'm drinking some sangria.
Passive aggressive.
Where is Nathan?
No.
There's Nathan. He's going up now.
Okay.
Drama's
I
back.
want to hear that. I want to hear that opinion, Mr. John.
All right. So she says it's like Dave's Annie and Dave thing, and it's her Lindsay Stevie thing. I was actually thinking it's kind of like a Silver Springs moment. If you look at, she does still hear him all night long, same song over and over. It heals her heart. No voice of a stranger could play that part. That's Lindsay.
Oh, I
mean,
never really paid attention to that.
No matter like where they are, like this is the record. Like this is the public record here, because like if you think about it, like who else is who's playing a part in her life? You know what I mean? So that's just how I take it.
She could be writing for Dave and Annie too. Because
No,
I
I
don't
know,
think
but-
she's pining for Lindsay anymore.
No, not pining.
Bring it, Steven.
Yeah.
Bring it.
I mean, I wasn't saying she's in love, but I mean, you know.
Well, I don't even think she like thinks about him enough to write songs about him. I don't think she's inspired by him to write songs about him.
She did say
But
the
she
song
might
was
be.
about. She did say the song was about the parallels between Dave and Annie and
Yeah, she
Lindsay
did.
and herself.
I mean, it could be, but
All right, Ronnie, I feel like you have something to say.
This is the worst song she's ever recorded, other than Cheaper Than Free. I know Nathan's around here somewhere. I don't care. This is like the freaking worst song she's ever recorded.
So worse than Jane.
Yes.
not as good as My Heart, #2.
Worse than A Whole Lot of Trouble. Worse
Oh!
than...
Not guilty. Have mercy.
So much Dave Stewart on the paper. Everybody look. Ooh, here comes the rain again.
Was
Blah,
anybody?
blah, 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 blah. Which I love that song, by the way. It's the Eurythmics song.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a great song.
Not hers.
Was anyone a big Eurythmics fan here? Because on their 5th album, Revenge, Dave Stewart started singing with Annie on the choruses. So this song kind of they had a song like Miracle of Love, where
Yes.
Dave was singing, and then the last time, and I just remember when that came out, I was like, Dave, we don't need to hear you on the chorus. And then when this came out, I'm like, Dave, we don't need to hear you on the chorus.
Jeremy, I have a toothpick with you. Young Again, or not the one before that. The one before that was actually it was an excellent album.
Savage?
You Are Young.
Oh, We Two Are One?
We Two Are One.
You like that album?
It was excellent. What are you
I
talking
thought-
about?
I like the one before it, Savage, because it had that Beethoven song that was
Well,
off the
yes,
chart.
where she went crazy. Yeah, I get it.
We're definitely gonna have some Annie podcasts.
Two or One is an excellent album. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm
most of it, not all of it, but whatever.
Chris.
But,
oh, sorry, Ronnie. Go ahead. Finish.
Slightly off topic, Jeremy. Did you like the 1984 soundtrack?
Loved it. 10 out of 10.
Sex Crimes.
Thanks,
Wonderful.
Chris. Loved it.
Julia, amazing.
Sex Crimes.
I like the early Eurythmics.
Yeah.
So, Everybody Loves You is a fucking Eurythmics song. What the fuck is it doing on a Stevie Nicks album?
But I feel like it's like later period Eurythmics, because don't disrespect like you can't, because saying it's a Eurythmics song, it's like it certainly is no Love Is a Stranger, and it's certainly no Sex Crime. I feel it's like a 17 Again B-side from 2001.
I'm glad you agree with that. So
something off of Peace.
Yeah, off of Peace.
There's nothing right
Piece
about
of shit.
There's nothing right. You can still hear him and blah 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 in the hall and blah blah blah. There's nothing right about the song.
Do you know another thing about this song is the bridge, like the fear of fire leaves you cold, and then this,
yes.
and then that,
yes.
and then I can't remember the lyrics.
You're remembering it correctly. Yes, it's horrible.
John just
so
like
I like
John.
Alicia's opinion. Maybe it's a good song, and maybe I'm just hearing it wrong.
too.
Did you like it, Stephen?
Yeah, I like that song.
Oh, you like
It's
this
not
one?
perfect, but I do like it a lot. Yeah, I never skip it.
So let's go
figure
to
out.
First four, but not this one.
let's
You're
go
hard to
to
figure out.
What?
let's go to
hard to
Roland,
figure out.
Alicia, and Jim and see what they think, because I'm curious. And then we're gonna have a battle royale on Phonogenics 101. Jello, wrestling, Everybody Loves You. Let's start with Jim.
It's was this the when they first kind of started collaborating and Dave didn't know Stevie wrote with other people? Was
Yeah.
this the one?
This is the first
Yeah.
one they wrote together, I think.
Like the drum,
Yep.
kind of the juices are flowing, and it made the album. It's
Yep.
kind of like a famous couples song, and being in famous and then lonely, which that's what it is. You know, you can't go anywhere. You can't go out and meet new people. You're pretty much stuck where you're at, and you're alone. And this has that famous Dave guitar solo that Stevie kept pining for during that documentary. Remember that? And Dave saw it.
Yeah.
And then Steve was adamant about it, and they found it, and it's very improvisational and very, just a good little guitar riff there.
Bingo.
And
You like that, Ronnie?
it's pretty pedestrian. I rather have something like Missionary Man, something really up tempo and a little wild. That and Stevie and Dave, something like that. And that would have been pretty exciting.
So, John, I'm curious. What was do you know what the first song they did was?
I don't know. Maybe if there's a different situation that Jim's talking about. I thought it was You May Be the One. They sat down. I like this
you're right.
poem. I like this poem. Remember, she would say. And
Okay.
He sat and played guitar, but I don't know. Maybe Jim's got something I don't have.
I think
Well,
this was the first thing that got released to the public. I think that's what
Right.
happened, but not necessarily the first thing they wrote together. Okay, Alicia.
So what I was hearing with like the documentary and Jim Lane interview was, so they started working in like February, right after the
Yeah.
Grammys, on the album seriously. But before that, in like January, Dave had the melody, which becomes Everybody Loves You, and the chorus. And that was when him and Stevie were discussing about working on this album. And so he sent her this kind of like the MP3, here's the music and here's my little 4 lines. And she had to create the rest of the song, the lyrics for it. And she sent it back to him evidently a couple days later or whatever, and he liked it. So then they recorded the song, and at that point they said, okay, well, let's meet up in February. And when he came into her house and had her book of poetry, that's when they opened up, and that's when they started with You May Be the One there. So this was kind of the prelude. Here's my poetry. Here's a song I have. Let's
Via email, like they're doing that over email, but You May Be the One was the first one in person. Okay.
And so that was what I was getting from the documentary and her interview with Jim. As far as my opinion of the song, can I say, to me, Cheaper Than Free is the worst song on the album. And then I would put this right above it. It's
God damn.
It's well, the music wise, I'm not a Eurythmics fan, but it doesn't have quite that Stevie-esque thing musically. But the lyrics, I mean, the lyrics hold up because it's Stevie. So, I mean,
and because it's not make believe, which is awesome.
Yeah, and it's not, and I guess it's different in the sense that the whole album is kind of, I don't want to say airy-fairy, but it's kind of more mysterious, kind of, I don't want to say fairy tale, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's kind of got that, let's go to different places and bring it up. And this one is kind of more grounded with a lot of, so.
Let's do Roland, then we'll do Steven.
I think
it's depressing, Alicia.
It's an okay song. I mean, it's not my favorite, but I think production-wise, it's very good. Oh, and Ronnie, her worst songs are When I See You Again and Running Through the Garden.
What's the matter, baby?
I like
okay.
When I See You Again.
Steven.
I was going to say to Ronnie, like, I agree with all the things you said about this song, but I absolutely love the verses. I love her vocal delivery on this song. I think it just sounds gorgeous. Good. But everything you said about the chorus is true. Like, there's a lot of things I could pick apart about this.
I would like the song better if Dave Stewart didn't sing on it. I hate to say it. I love him as a producer.
Sure. He's awful.
But I can't handle his vocals on the chorus. Chris.
Alicia, if you removed Dave Stewart's vocals, would it fit the record better to be more of a Stevie vibe?
Maybe, probably. I mean, I could, it probably would, that and maybe the 80s vibe, just because
that music also bothers you a bit. It kind of sticks out.
The album doesn't sound like an 80s album. It sounds pretty, it makes me think of Belladonna in the sense that it doesn't scream, this was made in 2010, 11. It's pretty classic. And when I mean classic is, it doesn't have that. But
it doesn't have a timestamp on it?
A time space, if you will.
Yeah, it doesn't have a time. You know, when you hear an album and you go, oh, this had to be from the 80s. This doesn't have that.
If you hear Planets of the Universe, you're like, oh, 2001.
Yeah, early 2000s. And that's what I think helps this album kind of hold up as well. It's just.
Whereas Rock a Little and Other Side of the Mirror clearly scream at you 80s.
Yes.
In two different 80s. That's like two different 80s.
Belladonna and Wild Heart, maybe not quite as much. They're more timeless.
Yeah, unless you look at the back and it says 81, you wouldn't know Belladonna.
Right.
Right, it could be recorded in the late 70s.
I played this album for a friend who's Lebanese, and he told me the beginning of You May Be the One sounds like a Middle Eastern club song.
Really? Yeah. I'm thinking, okay. Maybe we need to do a little remix. All right,
did I say You May Be the One or Everybody Loves You?
You said You May Be
the One. Everybody Loves You.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that makes sense now. I was like, huh?
Stevie Goes Bollywood. Okay. Oh, Ronnie.
So the lyrics, it was just one of those things that happened or didn't happen. A strand of golden hair tangled I don't even know. I don't even recollect hearing those fucking words because this is such a horrible fucking song. I'm sorry. She should have deleted it, sent it to a B-side, sent it to the vault. This is horrible. I'm sorry.
So you're saying it
pretty
shouldn't have happened.
Like a critic of her lyrics, and this is crazy. This is like send it somewhere else. I threw it away. It's a horrible song, and I'm sorry. Dave Stewart produced it. It sounded very rhythmic, and I like that, but no.
This is a great song. You talk about
It's horrible, Nathan. You came for a fight. You got it.
Oh no!
Horrible.
well, you better stand back.
Oh!
I hope you're recording this, Jeremy. It's a horrible song. It's the worst of her career. Worst, other than Cat House Blues.
Oh!
Oh, I love Cat House Blues.
Chris, you had something to say about
Well, just going off what Ronnie and Alicia said, maybe it would have been best to reserve this as a B-side because the whole flow of the album gets interrupted by this.
It does.
It just doesn't fit.
This should have been the Barnes and Noble.
Sometimes albums have to have a cohesive sound like Belladonna.
This could have been the Barnes and Noble bonus track instead of My Heart.
I have the big Best Buy. What did I get out of the deal? I thought I got something.
You can get shit.
Ripped
I didn't
off.
get shit other than a $9.99 CD. Damn.
Tell it to Madonna. Maybe she'll record it.
Get shit.
Okay. Things are heating up here on Phonogenics 101. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Donate to my Patreon. So the next, are we done with this song?
Yes, please.
I love that everyone feels very passionately. I don't love it or hate it. I just wish Dave Stewart didn't sing on the chorus, but whatever. And I love Not Make Believe. So the fact that she used lyrics in that touches a soft spot in my existence. Okay. The ghosts are gone, baby. Stevie's about to rock it out. Who did she compare this song to? Canned Heat from the 70s?
Really?
The rock band.
Are they the ones who sung "I'm Going Up Country"?
No, they were.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, that's Country Joe and the Fish.
I thought it was Led Zeppelin, Jeremy. Like
Led Zeppelin?
pop kind of a sound or something.
Led Zeppelin?
What do you guys think of this song?
I liked it. Sorry.
I'm googling.
Good live.
Yeah.
All right.
Roland, you don't like it?
No, but just loud noise. Loud noise with bad lyrics.
So in an August 16th, 2010 interview, she said, "I also wrote a rock and blues song that kind of sounds like Canned Heat."
Does it, Jim? Does it sound like that other song?
I don't know what Canned Heat sang, to be honest with you.
Yeah, neither do
Oh,
I.
it's a group? I don't even know what it is.
Yeah,
It's
it's
from the
band.
70s.
When did the Led Zeppelin reference come in? Because that's pretty extreme.
I think she had, what it was saying in the documentary was they had this song and they were listening to it like the final maybe 1 or 2 days left in the studio.
Yeah.
At the end of the year. And they didn't have the what yeah, I can't sing to save my life, but that riff they didn't have on it. So she asked Dave to go in. And
Yes.
that's what he
Play it.
They call that the Zeppelin riff.
yes, and she said it reminded her of Kashmir from
Okay.
Led Zeppelin. Just it kind of fit, and he played it right where he needed to, and so
Yeah.
that was
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
That's
it's like-
awesome.
I do like these throwbacks on this album. The Ghost to the Fog is from Angel originally, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So Angel's back. John.
I was just gonna say this was her replacement for the Edge Walk. This where she started going from the end of the stage to the other end of the stage, shaking the tambourine at everybody, and now that's what she does instead of an Edge Walk.
Yeah, she did this in tour on the In Your Dreams tour, right?
Yes.
Jim, was your hand up and I missed you?
I describe it as a musical freight train. It just comes at you and takes you down the tracks. This is about leaving everything behind. Just the ghosts are gone. Everything in the past is the past, and I'm done with it. It's not even. And a lyric that stands out to me is he wasn't clear, not even in his song. That might be a jab at Lindsay.
Yeah.
Lindsay might have wrote something that was profound, but he's not living up to it, or somebody.
I do feel like this kind of like signified where she was at psychologically, and she really did kind of move on at this point.
It's a healing song. It's to get. I'm gonna just rock out and get over it. I'm done with you, kind of thing.
And that should be the motto of life. We all need to just rock out and get over it.
Yeah.
Rock a little. All right. Anyone else want to talk about Ghosts Are Gone? Ronnie.
Well, I love the live version, in person, and then the Wiltern Theater. They just fucking rocked it. It was like what was that? Fall from Grace.
Oh yeah.
Song, it was like I love both of those songs. So yeah, definitely do it. Live.
I feel like I Don't Care wanted to be the Ghosts Are Gone.
Yes, absolutely.
How can you say that Everybody Loves You is worse than I Don't Care?
Well, that's a good point.
Passionate.
Boom. Okay, John.
Boom.
And what I wanted to say, just because I feel like Steven was basically saying that I think that Stevie just sits around and thinks of Lindsay all day. That how Jim said that she can write he took it, maybe he wasn't clear, not even to his song. I'm just saying that it's true and it's public record that both of them write songs about each other, and not necessarily what I was saying earlier about Everybody Loves You was a praising of Lindsay, but just the fact that they made it together in the business.
Right.
So she can always come back to that and talk about, he was, the one, not the one like the loved one, but the musical guy, so.
You might be right. I don't know. It's just opinions. Like, you might be absolutely right. There's like 100 other times in different songs where I think it's about Lindsay too. And as I go older, and now that the relationship's completely fallen apart, I'm like, I think the fans latch onto that and they all feed it. They all want the fans to keep a hold of that. But I don't think they feel it anymore.
But
I think
at
it's been
this
over
time,
a long time.
but at this time they were good. At least maybe that's how they marketed it. We were in such a great place making
they
this
probably
record.
snicker when they write a lyric that they think we'll interpret as their ongoing battle. They're like, oh, the fans will eat this up. Put it in there.
But they can't be in a room alone with each other. It's Karens everywhere.
Oh.
And I'm not talking about Hanky Panky from Madonna, just because I think they hate each other.
Yeah, and I'm very sorry if I came off as trying to say I'm right and you're wrong. And I probably did come off that way. I'm not very articulate.
Listen, we all had to agree. We all had to agree not to be sensitive when someone disagrees with us, because all of us are right in our own minds. So I think I'm right about everything, and everyone else should feel that way about themselves. Because there really is no right or wrong, and I don't care if you guys disagree with me on everything. It's on my.
We always follow it with.
It's on my YouTube channel, so what do I care?
Love it, Jeremy.
But seriously, though, we all love each other at the end of the day. Unlike Lindsay and Stevie, post 2013. All right. Does anyone else? I don't really have much to say about Ghosts Are Gone. It's a rocker. Oh, Alicia.
I'll throw this out quick because I always like this line. Like a silvery rainbow. Like, I think that's just cool. Like a golden rainbow. I think it's really interesting that she brought out rainbow for this song, besides Ghosts Are Gone. So
colors. You always pick up on those colors.
Yeah.
Well, it's just interesting because she always does kind of the black and white, and then she throws in these different little potpourri and it adds so much. It's
Sorry, just very quick. I appreciate when she said in an interview and she was saying to the guy, she was like, and the song is like a golden rainbow, like a silvery rainbow, and then it's gone. As if that's just an understood thing that like a golden rainbow. Oh yeah, I know how that goes. It's yeah.
Ronnie.
Sorry.
I think what Alicia is speaking of or referring to is the continuation of the Twister, the silvery rainbow. After the Twister, you know, the sweet girl, she's gonna go on that. Am I making sense, Jeremy? Tell me.
You're making sense to me. I'm not thinking that, but I always find interesting how she puts her words. I guess
exactly.
I'm used to sitting there and going, okay, most artists say cuts like a knife or whatever other cliche. And then you hear something different and it's like, whoa, it catches your,
yeah,
and
the imagery.
makes me think again. And it's just so refreshing to hear something original than all the cliches.
Right.
I love your interpretation of that because it's original, but it's repetitive. With, you know, the Twister, and then Did You Ever Believe? Or what's the other verse? Brings up the wind, brings up the imagery. You know, she didn't say imagery. Brings up the wind,
rises around you, trouble in Shangri-La.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's a continuation, which I appreciate that so much. I like it. Love it.
All right. Any thoughts on Ghosts Are Gone Before It's Gone, Chris?
I just like how Alicia focuses on her lyrics and helps me understand how she continuously evolves in her writing. I like how you focus on that because you teach me things when I listen to you speak with each album. You always focus on the words and you bring to light to me something I kind of take for granted, I think, about Stevie. And you get into the finer granular details of showing me how her writing keeps evolving, even into her, you know, what she's like 72 now or something ridiculous.
And sometimes you pull out lyrics that I kind of don't think about too much, which is cool.
Oh,
you all do that.
You
all bring up different things. That
you've got three like accolades.
It's meant to be a compliment.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you, Waddy Wachtel.
Yes.
All right. So, Dave Stewart and Stevie Nicks are in a room for the first time. She pulls out her many journals, and she lands on a page, and it becomes the song "You May Be the One." I just, it's not one of my favorites. So, who else wants to talk about this song? Okay, Roland.
Quickly, I agree with you. It's boring. I'm gonna skip it to Italian song.
I like the "I used to love you." Like, I like that little section. Anyone else? Steven.
It's your spitball, Freddie. This is like my favorite song in the album.
Really? How come?
I love her vocal on it. I love the vocal on this song. I just hear it and I swell with pride. Like, that's a good vocal.
What's the line
it's
about?
A shallow reason to like it. It sounds good.
What's the line about, like, somewhere out in the universe where she's talking about
who you are?
The kiss, yeah.
All right, Jim.
What, Nathan?
Okay.
Get there. Where's that?
It's this is one where you have to pay attention and play it a few times and to get kind of the point of the song. And it kind of grows on you. I don't know if it's an old style type song. It reminds me of a Tom Petty. The instrumentation is like the Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers with no Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on it. I don't think it sounds very much like that. A lot of the organ, Bemontense type sounds,
right,
to it. It sounds like that. In this album, I wrote here, I said, this is the best Tom Petty album without Tom Petty or any of the. I mean, it has, and I wrote right here, it has Tom Petty juice. You know, the album has a lot of, a lot of kick to it,
I wonder why he wasn't on it. We would just have to chalk it up to a scheduling conflict or something, huh?
I could totally hear him singing on the song "In Your Dreams." I think
He
Tom
should have
Petty
been. You're right, Jim. That's a good point. It makes me a little.
I mean, this,
Orland Buckingham.
This is an effort Stevie's got to be proud of. This, if you want to get a certain move with Tom Petty, you can put this album on and get it. Something that's really got a punch to it, and it's got some tender moments, and it's got some good instrumentation, and a lot of heartfelt stuff, and a lot of just a lot of Tom Petty's. We miss him. I mean, he's just a great writer. All through the start to the finish, Tom was consistent all the way through his career. And this album is kind of like a real good Tom Petty effort.
So instead of Full Moon Fever, we got the Moonlight Vampire's Dream. All right, John.
Nice segue.
I was gonna say that when you were saying the "I used to love you," I like how she goes, see the light inside, ooh. However, this is my least favorite song on the album. And it's a little, it's a good song. I mean, but it's my least favorite. Just a little too simple, and maybe that's what she was going for with Dave, as it was their first song. A lot of I's in it. I hear, I feel, I can't. I mean, the first verse is "You may be the one, but you'll never be the one." It's like, give me a little better than that. But it's a good song. It's just my least favorite.
The song reminded me, in the same family as that. What's that song? The Sheryl Crow song she did in the '90s. "Someone Stand By Me."
Right.
I put these two kind of in the same family.
The one on Boys on the Side.
Yeah.
No.
It's like that. It's like that.
You're not the one. You're not
It's that white people doing blues kind of thing.
Okay.
It's got a.
Anyone else care to talk about "You May Be the One, but You May Not Be the One," or you might be? Ronnie?
Well, I do, but I want to hear Nathan and Roland's opinion first.
Oh, I said it was boring.
Okay.
I skip it to the next song, which I love, Italian Summer.
Nathan's just waiting to talk about Italian Summer. I know that.
We'll get to that later. Nathan, your opinion, sir?
Portuyo. I don't really have much of an opinion on "You May Be the One." I think it needs an editor.
Would you say that Kiss was about?
It's about one full verse too heavy, is my opinion on it. But it's a nice song, and what I really like is the idea that when David A. Stewart came in and they started to record it, that they hung some mics down over their coffee tables.
Yep.
Like you do.
Yep.
Like you do. And I thought that was kind of cool. It's kind of a other side of the mirror type of a thing, and it really speaks to what was cool about that album. They did it in a great big house, and 100 years from now, it's like maybe it'll be a historical landmark. So I really think that the last 3 or 4 songs in this album are pretty lame, except for "Cheaper Than Free," but I'll fight it out with you.
We're talking about "You May Be the One." You may be the one. We're talking about
may not be. But you may not be. And so I really like it. I know somebody a second ago commented on that line. I really like it. You may be the one, but whatever she says seems to strike a chord of realness.
Do you like it? Okay, good.
I like
so,
it very
Mr.
much.
Steven, what is your opinion of this song?
This is favorite.
It's my favorite song in the album.
Thank you for asking, Ronnie.
Yeah, I love it.
If you want to elaborate a little bit more, just keep talking.
I just love the sound of it. I love the quality of her voice, the vocal performance. I think what the music is absolutely beautiful on this song.
Thank you, sir. And Chris, have an opinion of this song, or do you not like it, or whatever?
I'm not too thrilled with it. That's why I've been keeping my mouth shut.
Okay, well, thank you for your opinion, sir.
Fair enough.
And Miss Alicia, what's going on in your head right now?
I like this song, but this was kind of a slow burner for me. This wasn't like the one that popped out when I first heard it in 11, and I went, "Oh my gosh, this is great." I mean, this was one that took me a couple months, several listens before I really was like, okay. And I like the lyrical content. What she's saying is, sometimes you meet somebody and you think they're a great person, but as you get to know them better, as you get to be around them, and you realize they're not.
That you love them even more than you thought you did at first.
You don't like them as much as you did at the beginning. You realize that, and I think we've all had that at least once somewhere in our lives, and
twice, 3 times, 4.
You're a lady, Jamie.
5.
And it just, you feel that anger, you feel kind of that, and I like that blues sound because it's kind of and she doesn't do a lot of blues, and I can understand somebody saying, well, she doesn't do blues. That's not her forte. But I think that kind of gives to the pain of where when you meet somebody and then you realize what you thought of them is changed.
Right.
And so that's what makes this song good. But for me, it took a couple times. And I like the islands are calling. I hear the angry words flying across the ocean. I think that verse is very well written. That's the one that always sticks out in me.
What else, Miss Alicia? What else? I'm not finished. I hear you. What else?
But I mean, we've already covered it. I think the first 2 lines are maybe the worst, which that took me a couple times to listen. You may be the one, but you might not be the one. But someone's like, to be or not to be.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
I wanted to get the piano's concession. This is my interpretation of this. This is the best song on this whole freaking album. She is Stevie Nicks with her R&B roots coming from the country and blues rhythm from her country backside. I had these.
Well, you got the backside part right.
Don't you be talking about my corset? What's she talking about?
Nope. I had it outlined here, but I
games, huh?
Totally paid attention to what she said. And then there was the kiss right out of the universe. How did that happen?
Love that line.
No, it could have been worse. You forgot.
It could not have been worse.
Nathan, I'm talking. She is talking to Lindsay at this point. No, it could have been worse. You could have been worse. You broke my heart. You broke my heart. And she wrote these lyrics right here. I used to dream that you were an angel. I used to believe that you were an angel. And I was the starving child. And she was the starving child back in Fleetwood Mac in 1973 and 1975. Because he was crafting her work. And she just wrote lyrics. This is about Lindsay right here. This is the blues R&B right through and through. It's not her genre, but she revisited it back in 2011, I believe. And that's what this whole album is about, correct? I mean, I think we talked about it earlier.
That's what the whole album is about, huh?
Yeah, large chunks.
Did you just now join us again, Nathan? Yeah.
Yes,
So we already established that this album creates rock, pop, country, R&B, reggae, a little bit in reggae. It's all genres right here.
I do like that she jumped around, and I certainly jumped around too.
That is the song that sums up the whole album. An Italian Summer's great. Cheaper than
Really? You May Be the One is the song.
Cheaper Than Free could be left off the fucking album.
All right.
Italian Summer should have ended it.
John, your hand is up.
Yeah, I like Ronnie's point a lot. I never viewed the song this way, like he talked about Lindsay. I actually thought it was because I thought it was a more current song written. I thought it maybe be about like a guy she was with. You know, she talks about the guy that wanted to go to Bill Maher.
Right.
Are you kidding me? I can't show up there that way. So I thought it was a current guy, but I mean, I always was like the starving child. What is the kid wants a bottle, right? But I mean, that's really kind of mind blowing if you think about it, like about the lyrics and the music with Lindsay. Great perspective.
She was a starving child with her songwriting career, and I'm just going to shut up from now on.
Oh, I've heard that.
Steven.
Oh, yes, woe was her.
Now, John, you can yell at me because I think this is the song that's about Lindsay.
I didn't yell at you.
Reach right in here and
did not yell at you. Don't. You're being sensitive.
And that kiss right out there in front of the world. Like I've had conversations with other people about that before, about which kiss this is. Like, is it at the dance when they're having that interview and she's sitting on the box and he's like snipping her hair and he goes up and sneaks her a kiss?
I thought that's what I always thought it was the dance one. I feel like that dance tour, the dance tour totally like gave us a whole new decade of songs. All right. Any other thoughts on You May Be the One before we move on? I know Nathan's been waiting to talk about Italian Summer. So we're going to start it off with Nathan.
Italian Summer? Are we talking about a song?
I think Alicia had something else to say.
Oh, did you release her about You May Be the One?
No, really quick, one line.
John, he stepped on my joke. Are we talking about a song or a salad dressing?
So, Starving Child, or for Ronnie, you're connecting it to them Beautiful Child, because doesn't she have like a Starving Child line in there? But I don't know. Everybody was saying Starving Child. It made me think of Beautiful Child from Tusk.
Well, I think like
Roland must be a connection. I wonder if you took all her lyrics and put them in a little fucking bingo grab bag, and you pulled them out and you pulled every instance of the word child out. What kind of threads or things you could make out of that?
To answer your question, Alicia, I think like
or
Roland,
angels.
I have read the unofficial biography of Stevie Nicks, and
what's going on around here?
She was the starving child.
Yeah,
like,
no.
If you take
I tend to like to put. I find it interesting her songs that connect. So.
And I understand that, and what I'm trying to do is interconnect that. If you take it from a women's perspective, who just does not really play guitar, she played guitar enough to write a song, or played piano enough to write a song, but she couldn't master the musician.
No.
What's the word, Jeremy?
What's that?
She couldn't master the musicianry behind that craft.
She was definitely more of a songwriter than a technical musician.
Yeah, so she could write lyrics and do the little piano demo, but she always relied on Lindsay to provide that background.
Well, that's always been her Achilles heel as a performer.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think starving child also means like someone who's misbehaving? Like,
do I think that?
Like that's how I always interpret that lyric. Like a starving child is screaming, they're not paying attention, they're only thinking of themselves. Like, and those are the roles that were reversed.
I think
like he's actually the one who's always thinking of himself and screaming and having tantrums when it was perceived to be her when she was younger.
Okay.
That's how I took it.
No, it was really Lindsay.
Right.
You know, she took care of the house.
Right.
You know that, Stephen. She took care of the house and she waited tables and this, that, and another. She was the starving child. She wanted to get her songs published.
Okay.
But she needed that background to get that there, to get published. So she was the starving child.
Right.
And beautiful child in this song we were just talking about. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
She had to rely on others to help her until she didn't need the help anymore. And then she still needed help. That's neither here nor there.
All right, I'm getting seriously tired, so we really need to move on from the song.
Does that make sense, Alicia?
It makes sense. I had the lyrics to another song misconstrued in my mind. So, so yeah, now kind of disregard what I was thinking.
No. Jeremy wants to move on because he has to wake up early in the morning.
Yeah.
But I don't want to disregard anything of your thoughts or your mind.
But I'm the host, so I'm saying that we're going to move on to the next song. So unless everyone wants to donate so much to my Patreon that I don't have to work in the morning, let's move on, please.
Let's move on, please.
I won't say much, but I do.
Everybody else wants to question me, but keep going, Jeremy.
All right, but it is my podcast, so we are going to move on. Nathan, Italian Summer, you've been waiting to talk about it. What do you want to say?
I already said it. Are we talking about a song or salad dressing? It's not a great title. The song is as usual, all my usual criticisms. That's a little self-reflective, and it's just not great. And even the story that she tells about it, about how she went down to the proprietors of that bed and breakfast she was staying at, the Palazzo Sassy. Is that what it is? The Palazzo Sassy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just outrageous. She went up in there and she's going to tell them, well, you better hold on to this. You better hold on to this little piece of toilet paper that I
I feel like the clip from the sizzle reel,
old crayon and scrawled something on. I mean, that's outrageous.
The clip from the sizzle reel did not.
The Palazzo Sasso looks like a really beautiful hotel. I'd love to stay there, but I don't love the song. And when I watch, here's what I'll say that's positive, just to not be a dick, is that when I watched the teaser, the Sizzler teaser that was coming out,
right,
and I think the lyric at the end of it is, "Love was everywhere, you just had to," what was it?
Oh,
right, just had to fall. Well,
right.
when it was just the teaser and it was just her laying out that big long note with the clouds and stuff, and then the title card would come up, I thought it was "you just had to go. Love was everywhere, but you just had to," and so that's a different sort of interpretation of it. So I think it's a fine song, but it's I'm not sure if we're talking about a song or salad dressing.
I feel like it didn't live up to the promise of the sizzle reel. Like when I saw the little clip, I was ready for something that was going to change my life. And I would say the actual song didn't change my life. I like it, but that note just seems so epic when you just had like 10 seconds of the song. So Alicia.
I like the song itself. I think it's really great. It's very, she does great in bringing up the imagery, and it's very romantic, even though she's talking about a country and, but every time, I guess this is the first time where I really, and I get this more and more as she gets older, but this is the first song in her where I hear it and I wish that she didn't record it but handed it to somebody else to sing it.
Okay.
Because, no offense to Stevie, but she doesn't have the range that she did 40 years ago. And that's understandable. She's in her 60s and 70s, and between the drugs and the alcohol and who knows what else, it's really taken a toll. Yeah, it's really taken a toll. So every time I get to the end, I don't know if she should have gone lower so she could hit build up when she keeps repeating. I just had to fall. At some point it's like she's trying to go higher, but she can't. And I wish that she was able to kind of hand it to somebody who does have the range. I always think of somebody that's kind of like a classical, kind of your classical crossover sort of singers. Not really operatic, but somebody who has a nice, beautiful voice to sing this song.
Not me, but Celine.
No. Celine would belt this out left, right, and center, and I don't want to belt
Her in
it.
her throat.
But I'm thinking, I would think somebody like Sarah Brightman who can just sing it nice and beautiful and kind of hit the notes and kind of go an octave for a couple notes higher. I'm not that musically, but that's where I realize, and that's where she's starting to kind of get shouty at the end because she just can't keep going.
Do you know, I grouped the vocal performance on the song with Lady from 24 Karat Gold.
Yes.
I kind of feel like they're kind of torch ballads a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the fence. I kind of love Stevie doing that, and then sometimes I don't.
Well,
So.
I think that as she's gotten older, they have to kind of adjust. Either she starts lower and so she has room to build, or they need to do different. I'm glad to hear the long notes.
Right.
It's just you start realizing she's got
Limitations.
Yes. And
Joni Mitchell did some orchestral albums in the early 2000s, Both Sides Now and Travelogue, where she kind of reinvented herself as a torch singer. And I kind of...
At Last?
Well, she did At Last, but not on those albums. She didn't. She did a lot of her old catalog, like reimagined. And her performances were pretty nuanced. So I would have liked to see Stevie maybe be a little bit more nuanced on these couple songs where she's really... But I don't know, there's some times when like a rainstorm is about to hit and I'm feeling Italian Summer. So it may be the one, but it may not. I'm a little bit on the fence. All right, who else wants to talk about this one? Jim.
I love it. Absolutely love it. It's very romantic and it's very cinematic. Yes, someone could cover this, better vocal talents, but the soul of it might be missing if someone did that.
Okay.
It'd be if someone
Points, Jim.
just go through it and do it as a like a gymnastics and just go out and envelop the crap out of it. That'd be fine. But will the soul be there?
Right.
There's a lot of soul in here. And it was, and the story goes, she wrote it on a napkin real quick, and she sings it in third person a lot of this you know, you see the fog rush in and all that, and it's just 4 hours. And it reminds me of my German uncles. And they talk like this, and there's a lot of third person talking. They just say they're talking about themselves doing something, but they just say you as it, they're using a third person thing. And I thought that was quite charming. It's just because she's from German ancestry, and it's kind of coming out here a little bit.
Right.
It's cool. I kind of liked it in that manner. It kind of brings, there's a bit of a cultural connection there.
I love that. I'm excited about that. I don't quite understand, but for the sake of expediency, I don't need to. But I do want to ask further questions about that, Jim. That's totally interesting.
Yeah.
Were they sitting around drinking out a little...
and I like the line, the wind blows right through you. It's kind of a melancholy feel to it because the summer's ending and the storms are coming,
right.
And the winter is coming, and you're going to have to deal with it for 6-8 months. I have that feeling when she sings that line. Here's the winter's coming. It's going to be a long one.
Right.
And I love that the note at the end. She's never done that. I mean, like the Rhiannon wail at the end. I mean, back in the old days, that's a little different thing. This is more of a classical thing that at her age, our Stevie did that. She attempted it. And like Lady, she kind of pulls this off in her voice.
This long note reminds me of the long note from No More Tears, Enough is Enough by Barbara and
fantastic song. Fantastic.
Dare someone to cover it.
Oh, yo.
And see if it's got some soul to it. If they can pull it off gymnastically and have some soul in it, good for them.
It's not really a hard song to sing. It isn't very high. Like, they did work it down into her range, I think. That's the first thing I thought when I heard this. I'm like, she's singing it like it's this big Celine Dion moment, but it's not really that high of a note.
right.
I like the passion of it, and I think Stevie pulls it off, and I love this song, but I don't think it's required to have a spectacular vocalist to tackle this. I think one of the great vocalists would be kind of bored with this song, actually. But I love it. What about Roland? It's your favorite, right?
I love this song. I love the song. It's gorgeous, and the violin at the end is just fantastic. And I think I would have been happy if this song ended the album instead of the other one.
Does in my mix.
Oh. Oh, God. Well, do we have any other thoughts on Italian Summer? John?
So I'm with Jim and Roland. Moonlight is my favorite song on this album, but I think Moonlight is all Stevie. So like, I would say I think Italian Summer is, in my opinion, the best Dave-Stevie collaboration on the record. I think Dave brought the best he could here. I love the beginning. I don't know if it's a mandolin, but I feel like I'm in an Italian restaurant.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it just brings it, and I feel like I'm in Europe. And I love the end because I think it builds, and it builds perfectly. And I don't need some like big Metropolitan Opera House note from Stevie. I'm impressed by the length of it, and I think it's perfect when it builds from sun fades out and closes it out.
The mid rolls in, then it takes it all. I love
Points. I agree, John.
It's really a beautiful song. Like, I just think it's so romantic, and Lord knows there's no romance in my life. So sometimes I just put on Italian Summer and dream. I just dream. So it's so interesting. We all have different favorite songs on the album.
Roland,
I'm just
did
gonna
you say
vote for
this is
John
your
for
favorite
president.
song on the album?
No, it's a Moonlight, but this could be probably number 2 with
Number 2?
Secret Love.
So John and Roland both have Italian Summer as their number 2. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, are we done? Because I don't think there's another song on the album.
Yeah, no more. That's it.
Are we done? All right.
We're done.
Phonogenics 101. Okay.
Shoot.
So, Cheaper Than Free. It doesn't bother me. To me, it's kind of like I Still Miss Someone. That's just like a cute song at the end. I don't take it seriously, so it doesn't like hurt my heart, but it also doesn't make me need to change my underwear.
This doesn't grease the pan.
No, it doesn't grease the pan. It doesn't scramble the eggs, and it doesn't put the syrup on the pancakes.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't slice the onion, huh?
Doesn't slice the onion. It doesn't salt the tomatoes.
This doesn't split the
pea soup. Okay, who wants to start? Who wants to start with Cheaper Than Free? It seems like we're ripe for the picking here. Ronnie.
I don't have nothing to say, but Nathan, check your chat.
Okay, I will.
That's all I have to say about Cheaper Than Free.
Oh.
Check them right now.
Okay. Moving on. Anybody else? This is too easy. John.
So I think I think this was the second song that was released to the public. I think this maybe came out in April of 2011 with the video of them at the piano, which was kind of a surprise. I like this song. It's Stevie takes this song seriously, actually. When she said we thought we had us a tongue-in-cheek song here, but we actually wound up with something good. I mean, the Reese Witherspoon comment I made earlier. She came up with the name of the song.
Right.
In Nashville at, I guess, Blackbird Studios, which is Dave. I think that's where they were. But something happened.
I believe that's in the great state of Tennessee.
Yeah. And Stevie like rode on an airplane next to Reese Witherspoon's mom and told her to tell her daughter to come down to the studio. And something like that happened, right? Reese, is this in the documentary? I don't.
Yeah, it's totally familiar.
I haven't watched the documentary in like.
But you know, a lot of people that are watching this may have not watched the documentary. So go ahead and tell the story. For
sure. Anything about the airplane trip? This is a different level.
So this is the, you know, when an actress comes in the studio with Stevie, this is the biggest development since Rosanna Arquette kept the extra verse from Fall from Grace.
I like the lyrics of this song. It's fun. I think it's a cute closing, and I think Dave sounds good on it.
Definitely better than on Everybody Loves You, for sure. Well, does anyone else have anything to say about Cheaper Than Free?
My least favorite, along with Ghosts Are Gone.
Jim.
Yes, the music's very sweet. It's very, it's very romantic, and it's the interplay between Stevie at the end. You child, that's kind of cute. The lyrics are kind of corny. I think it's when Reese came up and was sitting on the couch and said Cheaper Than Three and all that banner back and forth. And then Stevie said Cheaper Than Three, that sounded like a song. And then I think there was a bit of pressure. There was no spontaneity to the writing of this. It wasn't spontaneous. It was kind of like plug in the words and create a song. I mean, a lot of songs are written that way.
Right.
It was.
What do you think of it, Jim? Does it make you? Do you like it? Does it make you? I don't know about y'all, but I get a little something in my eye sometimes when I listen to Cheaper Than Free, because it could be about you and your significant other. It could be about you and your grandma.
And a lot of people say they misinterpret the Cheaper Than Free being like you're feeling like you're just cheap. It's actually like Cheaper Than Free is like warm sunshine or the birds singing, which they're invaluable, but they're something you take for granted and you see every day. Green grass, frogs are jumping, the little rivers are running, nature. And love is part of nature.
Not my nature. I'm just messaging. Okay, Ronnie, I saw your hand.
Well, I like Jim's interpretation, but my best friend who does not like Stevie Nicks at all, he listened to this song and he thought it was wonderful and great, and I want to download that, and he turned out schizophrenic. True story. And it's like, okay, well, you think that's her best song, then go right ahead. That's good. It's a horrible song. That's Reese Witherspoon involved. That's my interpretation.
All right. Well, we definitely had a spirited 4-hour discussion about Stevie Nicks' In Your Dreams album. We survived each other.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any other thoughts on Cheaper Than Free?
It's cheap.
That's cheap.
I don't listen to it.
And you know what? And cheap is another word for affordable. And that's what makes this song a masterpiece, is that you can afford it no matter who you are or what type of little relationship couple that you're talking about, whether it's a man and a woman or, again, it could be, maybe it's just because I love my grandma and stuff. It's like, it could be about you and your grandma, and that's what's great about it. It's Cheaper Than Free. It's a relationship for anybody. So.
Well, thank you all for joining tonight.
I love you all so much. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah. What's not cheaper than free is my Patreon. So if anyone wants to subscribe for either $1 or $2 a month, it's
I owe you $38, dude. I'm gonna pay you after tonight.
Oh, I like when a man says he's gonna pay me. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we will all be back We will all be back next month. Yes. Oh, I love. Oh, 24 karat gold. We forgot to do the rating. We have to go around the circle and rate In Your Dreams on a scale of 1 to 10. So I'm going to go through an order of my boxes here. Jim, In Your Dreams, scale of 1 to 10.
9.5. Spectacular.
Okay. Steven.
10, 9.5. I'll go with that. 10. Yeah, I love it.
All right, John.
10.
Wow.
Chris.
8.
Nathan. He's gone. Alicia.
I'd probably say 10.
Good.
Ronnie.
8.5.
Roland.
9.
I'm gonna be a little controversial because I feel like the second half just sags a little bit, so I'm gonna give it an 8. I think.
Fair enough.
Let me ask you,
Love
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Can we do a second round compared to Shangri-La? Better or worse?
Okay, yeah. So you have to say Shangri-La or In Your Dreams. We'll go around the same order. Jim.
This is better. She's more couple. I think Dave added.
Better or worse?
Oh, it's better.
So In Your Dreams?
Yeah.
Steven.
Better, but it's a tough call.
So you're In Your Dreams?
Better.
Yeah.
He said better.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
John.
that's your choice. Better or worse. Yeah.
Better.
Chris.
I don't like it as much, but I need to give it more time like you guys. I think I have to see. Shangri-La spoke more to me at that time in my life.
Playing games, dude. You're playing games with this. It's better.
So Nathan says better. Alicia.
Better. It to me, it's my personal favorite right there with Belladonna. So.
All right, Ronnie.
Worse.
Ronnie agrees with me.
Roland.
Trouble in Shangri-La is slightly better because of that gorgeous album cover.
And I'm going to finish it off and say, because of the title track,
Roland makes a good point.
Bombay Sapphires, Fall from Grace, and Love Is, definitely Trouble in Shangri-La was the better album.
Oh, so it's me, you, Ronnie, and Roland. I like Shangri-La better.
Bazinga.
I'm not alone.
I love that we're like half and half almost. So, all right. Will we all be back next month to revisit the vaults with Dave Stewart in Nashville to talk about 24 karat gold? We're going to do the deluxe edition. So to me, the other edition doesn't even exist, even though I own it. But I think we need all the songs. Jim, I love that. I love that you have the vinyl.
This came in the mail before anybody in the country had it. I was on the pledge, and people didn't believe I had it.
I'm sure the comments were flying.
Yes.
Jim, is it on colored vinyl
No.
or just black?
It's just it's a double. It's a double vinyl. Just
Black.
Yeah.
Jim, is
No,
it a
I want to
special-
ask more questions and talk to Jim about the weather in Tennessee, but I'm not going to do it while it's recording because
Oh,
It's 100 plus here.
Right.
Good night.
Club and we can't be recorded.
we've been
Good night,
extremely.
Jeremy. Thank you. Thank you, panel.
All right, friends.
you.
Yes, I must go to bed. I have a facility to paint in the morning. I will see you all next time. Thank you for your time and
Thank
for your
you.
love for Stevie Nicks.
Good to
Thank
see you
you.
guys.
Or